Hello and welcome to another episode of Return to Videotech, the show where two dinguses break down the movies we love and share our affection for physical media with you. On this episode, we're treading some controversial territory as we break down Kevin Smith's critique of Catholicism in his fourth feature and long hard to see and find Dogma. Other movies on the menu for today include Bugonia, Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, The Shrouds, The Red Shoes, and a lot more. I'm Keith, and with me as always is my friend, co-host, and hetero life mate, Matt. How's it going, dude?
Good man. A little bit of a cool down from spooky season, but I felt like, we needed a little bit of a break. It's nice like when we can get some episodes out in quick succession, but then it's like, you and me get burnt out pretty quick. Like, all right, we need to let it breathe a little bit. And we have to like rebuild the inventory of watching stuff. Normally like right after we record like that next week, I'm like, I don't want to watch anything for the show. I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
It's
I
this.
do need like a little decompression because I feel like watching movies for the show or watching movies that I'm gonna like make a video about on YouTube
Uh-huh.
is a little bit different than just casually watching movies. Like I'm constantly thinking about what
Yeah,
I want to say about the movie and like sometimes taking notes, not always, but it's a little different experience watching movies for the show
yeah.
for sure.
I know. I should like write down the stuff that I watch in like the week following when we record because it's always like Harry Potter 3 or something. I just want to watch like throwaway like stuff that I can just have to hang out to and not have to watch something like with intent.
I know. Last week, or not last week, last night actually, I was like, I really want to watch The Matrix for some reason. But I was like, I really should watch Dogma again because it had been like, we took an extra week. So I was like, I need to watch it again. But yeah.
I know. I try to like keep an eye on your letterbox just to like see. I'm like, well, if Keith hasn't watched the movie yet, then we have time to like delay. Because I think I did. I didn't see that you had watched Dogma yet.
Yeah. Well, Letterbox is not a good barometer to use for that because sometimes I just won't even log stuff.
Yeah, I understand. I fielded a phone call just like a couple hours ago from friend of the show Shane. Just called me out of the blue and said that he's just been driving a lot, making these long day trips, and he said he's been getting caught up on the show, and he's like re-listening to every episode. And he had just re-listened to the Jaws episode and was like really digging it. And I was like, thanks, man.
Nice. I'm glad somebody's digging the show.
Yeah, it's a slow crawl, certainly to build any sort of a following, but I mean, it's tough. I think you and me are both pretty um, not too full of ourselves when it comes to these things. Like we enjoy doing it, and if anybody else enjoys it, great. I mean,
Yeah.
not really a prerequisite for us to continue doing the show, but if some people get into it, that would be like somewhat fulfilling.
Yeah. No, I mean, we joke about it,
Yeah.
but to be totally honest, I think it's awesome that we even get like the numbers that we do get. Like on YouTube, we get around like 100 each episode,
Yeah.
and I'm like, damn, dude, that many people want to listen to us jabber on about movies. Like I'm happy with that. But
That's certainly out kicking our coverage for two losers who used to rent like a ton of movies from Videotech.
yeah, I mean, we are pretty much nobodies. But yeah,
Yeah, that's fine. Who's somebody though? It's
for
all
real.
just a flash in the pan for everyone, unless you're DiCaprio and you just have like a lifelong run of being super cool.
I was seeing videos of him on Instagram at some basketball game or something in like hiding.
Yeah, I think it was his birthday party recently. So like, Lindsay was showing me like Martin Scorsese's like I don't know daughter or granddaughter or whatever, like her Instagram or something, and being at DiCaprio's birthday party. I'm like. Yeah, I can't really see myself being invited to one of those parties anytime soon, but hey, we'll see. The sky's the limit when it comes to this show.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll be talking about a Scorsese movie later on in the homework section, but I guess to start off this episode, you said you went to the theaters and saw one that uh, I want to see. I just haven't made it out there yet. Yorgos movie, right? Yorgos Lanthimos.
Yeah. Yeah, so Yorgos Lanthimos, I would say I'm a fan of his work. It's a relatively newer development in my life. Definitely like within the last probably, I don't know, it's probably hasn't been 10 years, probably the last 7 or 8 years now. of course, for me, the one that really got me hooked and is still my favorite, I would say, is The Lobster. Like that was definitely like one of those moments where I watch a movie and it had such a impact on me. Like I loved exactly what it was going for. Of course, he like lives in absurdity and sort of comedy, like looking at things from an absurd lens in a comedic way is where he mostly dabbles, and he's been like super prolific the last several years. There was some Oscar attention with The Favorite, which leaned a little bit more towards the middle, wasn't as wild, but I would say it's been a pretty wild run with Poor Things, Kinds of Kindness, and then this movie, Begonia. Poor Things and Kinds of Kindness, I liked both of them. They were both in my top tens of that year. If I had a complaint about either of them, I think they were both on the long end. Probably could have stood to be trimmed a little bit in the edit, at least for my liking. But I did enjoy both of them. This one has a similar feel. You're not like, whoa, I can't believe this is the same director. Like it definitely feels like one of his movies. Um, I think I get what it's going for. It seems to be about uh, at least in my opinion, I mean, Lindsay kind of pushed back on this piece of it, but I was like, I mean, there's definitely like, some observations on the whole internet incel culture and how even more and more they keep getting themselves riled up in all this conspiracy stuff. And I think kind of what the movie is about at a certain point and by the end is like, yeah, well, do you want this stuff to be real? All these things that you're like pumping and getting yourself worked up about, it's like, yeah, but like, do you want that to be the case? The reality of what you're like trying to breathe to life so obsessively is not great. So like why are you such a champion for this? That was my takeaway from it. I did like it. It was probably my least favorite of the last three, but I liked that it was shorter.
I think the
I
only Yorgos movie I've seen is Poor Things, and I saw it in the theater, so it's been quite a while.
Which is a and
Um,
I saw it in the theater too, and I did like that one quite a bit by the end, but it takes a little while to get used to what the hell that is.
yeah, yeah, that one was interesting. A lot more sexy stuff than I was expecting, and
But also just like this bizarre like fantasy universe.
uh-huh. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and for Begonia, I did walk out. I think I was feeling a little Lantimos, Emma Stone burnout. It's been three movies in a row with them teaming up, and I don't know. I mean, I'm normally, I don't have any qualms with the directors using the same actors and stuff, and I like it. But this has just been a lot in a short period of time.
Yeah. I feel like Emma Stone's kind of been on this run with like that and Eddington and like all of his movies and
Yeah.
Eddington and all this stuff like kind of trying to do the more artful stuff. Like I feel like maybe she just has a big enough bank account where she just is doing these roles that she
Yeah.
doesn't need a big paycheck for. I don't know what her paycheck is for these movies, but I'm
Yeah.
assuming not much.
Probably not as much as it would be for like more mainstream efforts, but
Like La
I
La
mean,
Land and
yeah,
whatnot. But
yeah.
yeah,
But I mean, she is a big star, and it's cool that she's picking more unique projects to do.
hmm
And I like her quite a bit, and she's good in this stuff. It's just sort of like when you see kind of three movies in a short period of years that are they all kind of feel the same, even though they're different. Same, but
hmm
different. Um, it just felt I'm feeling a little burnt out on the whole thing, but it's definitely worth a watch, no doubt about it. I
yeah.
mean, I'll continue to see if Lantimos keeps pumping these out like every year or two. I mean, I'll definitely he's on the director list that I'll keep going to see the movies, but it just didn't feel as fresh to me.
Have you seen Dogtooth?
I have a copy of it down in my basement. I
Okay.
think
I haven't seen it either, but every time I go to Barnes and Noble, I pick it up and I'm like, I want this, but I'm gonna wait for Kino Lorber sale.
yeah, I have put it on. I can't remember if I finished it or not. It's been a while now. I think I bought it like over the pandemic or something. So it's been a little while. And I mean as weird as you would think it would be. I mean, like most of his movies. And I have the other one too that was from around that time period. Is it Alps that he made as well?
I don't know. I'm
I
not.
can't
I'm not that
remember.
familiar with Yorgos.
Yeah. How are you overall on him as a director?
I think Poor Things is the only one of his movies that I've seen. Like we've talked about this before, but
Okay.
I've turned The Lobster on several times and fallen asleep every time.
Okay, yeah.
Um, yeah, I just need to go back and watch that one and Dogtooth especially because I've heard good things about both of them.
Yeah, I'm getting bad with my memory. I'll occasionally like listen back to episodes of the show just to get like I don't know, a sense of what we've talked about, trying to like zero in on things that may be becoming like a runner on the show, like things that we might say or um and things that I can harken back to later. And I've realized that like there's several times where I talk about the same things as if it's the first time me talking about it.
Yeah, I mean you've talked about The Lobster a few times, and every time I'm like, God damn it, I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, you know what would be great if I was just like, oh man, I just drew a blank on it. What's
Well, maybe you can assign me The Lobster this for
Yeah,
this next episode, so I'll finally watch it.
we'll have to we'll have to do that. Yeah, it would be great if I was just like, yeah, and then there's this movie Southland Tales, which Keith, you like Southland Tales more than me.
Yeah, that was more of an inside joke because I just kind of let you run with that and let people think that I have seen Southland Tales, and I'm pretty sure I've never seen that movie.
Yeah, that was the best. But I also made it to the theater to see the new Lynn Ramsey movie with Robert Pattinson and Jennifer Lawrence called Die My Love.
Oh
Now,
yeah, I
if
saw
that
that you
title
logged
doesn't
that
grab
on
you,
Letterboxd
yeah,
too.
yeah.
What'd you think of it?
I actually have. It's based off a book. It's from a trilogy of books. Lindsay owned them or owns them. Written by Ariana Harwitz, which is a cool name, and it's about at least the first one, which is the movie. I mean, I'm not really sure what the deal is with the trilogy overall, but it's kind of this woman struggling with postpartum depression. It seems like now it's definitely one of those like unreliable narrative movies, and like even this book says on the cover of it, like the little blurb review from the Guardian, it just in quotes says a touch of David Lynch, and I wouldn't say that it felt like a David Lynch movie to me, but it is bizarre and wild, and I can't really tell you what it's fully about other than it's this woman's journey that's sort of this broken psychosis type narrative where all of these things are happening. You're not sure what's real and what's not real, including like through the end of the movie because it gets kind of extreme. Um, but I liked it. That's the type of day out at the movies that I want to have. This is the Robert Pattinson Jennifer Lawrence team up that I wanted and needed in my life. Okay.
Nice. I
Yeah.
don't really know anything about this movie other than the fact that stupid news article popped up on my feed, and I read like the first blurb of it, and it was just Jennifer Lawrence saying that she didn't need an intimacy coordinator because Robert Pattinson isn't a creep. So I was like, bonus points for Robert Pattinson not being a creep apparently.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like that thing that we talked about in Place Beyond the Pines. If you have a certain look, I mean, I feel like you can get away with a
Yeah.
lot. I mean, Robert Pattinson, I feel like is just a sharp looking dude. But I don't. Have you ever seen any Lynn Ramsey movies she directed? You Were Never Really Here, which I really liked with Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah, I did see that years ago on Netflix or something, and I really liked that. That movie reminded me of Taxi Driver for some
Yeah, it's
reason.
in the way that that movie has this very intense just feeling the whole time. Die My
Hmm.
Love also has that similar thing.
Okay.
Like it's not
And
this is not as violent as You Were Never Really Here, but it just has that foreboding feeling
mhm.
to it like through the entire run. Although it is I mean it's dark, but it is weirdly funny too. Like the Jennifer Lawrence character is bringing humor to some of the things she's doing. I mean it's messed up, but
Yeah.
like yeah, I can't explain it other than like it is funny too.
Yeah, she has good comedic timing, and I don't know, something about her is like she's good at doing funny stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I totally agree. She's good in this, and I'm here for it. Like I want these actors that had like these like teenage runs or whatever in these big franchise films. Like when they kind of grow up and are like going on to do other things. Like I think it's cool that Robert Pattinson has had this kind of redefining of himself, and he's like
Hmm.
this very known, established, I would say respected actor at this point. And I think Jennifer Lawrence needed to have like a little bit of a comeback, but I think she's gonna be just fine and
Yeah.
hang around because she's always good. I mean, I don't know. I think at a certain point there was kind of a this move against her, but like she's good in everything she does, I think.
Yeah. At some point, we got to talk about Good Time on the show because that's a Robert Pattinson movie that I love. It's,
Yeah,
another Safdie Brothers movie, an earlier one
I
that
sort of
I feel like that
associate.
one gets talked about a lot as like when people come up with lists of movies they would like to see in the Criterion Collection, that's one of them.
Yeah, I don't know that Pattinson ever really went away, but I kind of associate Good Time with being the thing that like started his renaissance.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true, and I haven't looked at it in like the chronological filmography order, but in my mind,
Yeah.
that's the movie that started the Robert Pattinson like renaissance, which seems to be here to stay
Yeah.
for some time. I did bring a beverage to the show, but it's Keith. It's
Slump Jump?
Athletic Brewing, yes, Slump Jump Autumn Brown. However, it is a non-alcoholic beverage. Figured
Nice.
for a Sunday night we could, you
I'm
know,
just drinking coffee at 9 o'clock at night here.
perfect. I can't do that, by the way. If I try to drink coffee like after like the clock strikes noon, I'll be on like some sort of die my love psychosis. Like just I can't live in the world. I mean, I don't know. I just get so wired. Whenever I'm somewhere and people order coffee after like dinner at like 9 o'clock at night, I'm like, I don't know what planet you're from, but it's not this one.
It just doesn't really affect me. I think it's all those years of working weird hours as a news
Oh, sure.
photographer. Like when I was going into work at like 11 p.m. and leaving work at like 8 or 9 the next day.
Yeah, I'm sure that has an impact. So that's did you see anything in the theater? Or did you just want to do physical media?
I didn't see anything in the theater. I guess real quick, I could just say I watched the new Guillermo del Toro Frankenstein, which
Oh,
was pretty
fun.
cool. Did you see
Yeah,
that
I haven't
yet or
watched it
no?
yet.
Kind of interesting. It had like a limited release in theaters, I think, or it was only in theaters for maybe a week or two. Um, Seemed like a good time for them to do it. Like horror movies always do well in the theaters. It's just the Netflix thing. I don't know. You would think that they would have wanted to like make some money. It cost like $120 million to make this movie. Has like these big, elaborate, beautiful sets
Yeah.
and huge actors and obviously Guillermo del Toro directing. It's a really cool movie, but they just kind of like pooped it out on Netflix.
Yeah, it is weird. I mean, it's a different time, obviously. I mean, Netflix is probably printing more money from subscriptions than, you know, a lot of movies have made in the theater over time. If you take out like the biggest money makers, I mean,
Yeah.
Netflix is just like crushing it in this subscription money. Now, at a certain point, I mean, I don't know how they can keep funding these $100 million,
I
but
mean, yeah, that's my question. It's like, how many subscribers do you need to get to pay back the cost of just this one movie being made? I don't know. It
I
seems
don't know.
kind of silly, but
Obviously, the financials are working out for them, but I am with you that like in general, I don't really want to see this trend continue just because I am such a look, call it pretentious or stupid or whatever you want, but I think that movies are best enjoyed by going to the theater. And whenever I watch something at home, which I've done a lot of and will continue to do, but it always feels a little bit less than like the experience.
yeah,
Like there's movies that I'm like, man, I really wish I would have seen this in the theater just to get that experience. And there's a lot of movies that come out that I'm like, I gotta find a way to see this in the theater.
yeah.
Um,
So
so
I wish I would have had the opportunity to see it in theaters, but I don't.
that
I
being
think it only
said,
played here for a week, maybe.
yeah,
But I really liked it though. Jacob Elordi plays or the monster is really
Yeah.
cool. Um, yeah, the cast is just good. Like I said, the sets are awesome. It's way different than the old Universal one, which I've only watched once, but it was like a couple years ago. But it's way different. The monster looks way different, and it's just this really cool story about. I don't even know what the themes of the movie are. It's it's just a cool monster movie. It's
Hey,
like
sometimes that's all you need. Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, look, the sets and the look of it certainly seemed really enticing. It's just one of those things that if you get the opportunity to have someone just put a different spin on what you're used to, because like it's one of these things where I think we all associate it with something in a certain look, and when you get sort of a different version of that, you're like, oh, that's cool if executed well.
hmm Yeah, I think it was executed well. It's definitely worth watching, especially if no cost of entry. You just watch it on Netflix.
Yeah, well, some cost, that subscription cost.
Yeah, yeah. But other than that, yeah, I picked up a bunch of Criterion Blu-rays and some 4Ks and stuff. Do you want to see them? I made a
Yeah,
video
yeah.
already.
Before you show, I'll tell you, I went to see Die My Love with Zach, and we stopped at Barnes and Noble. I had been there earlier in the week, earlier that same week, just like eyeing stuff up that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna buy this for the sale. And then I go there with Zach just 3 days later while the sale's going on. The three movies or so that I was gonna pick up, all gone. Like, I think History of Violence, the what's the Guillermo del Toro movie that's a remake? The like Carnival movie with Bradley Cooper.
Oh, Nightmare Alley.
Yeah, Nightmare Alley, and Carnal Knowledge, the Mike Nichols movie. All three of those, I was like, those are strong candidates. And Zach wanted to get Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me 4K. No, the four of them were not available. we
Does
could
your store just not carry that many, or what?
either. I mean, I think there was a run on the place because all four of those were there when I was there earlier in the week. I think
Oh,
the sale hit, and I guess those were all hot
hmm
numbers because they were all gone. I mean,
yeah.
there were at least three copies of History of Violence, and they
hmm
were all gone. So I'm
Oh.
sure there's probably been a restock since, but it was definitely like a bummer experience.
Yeah, that always stinks when you have like one or two or three specifically in mind that you want to get and you go and they're not there. That happened to me this on my second go. I really wanted to get The Brood because I've been on a David Cronenberg kick, so I'll just show like
Yeah,
three
please.
three that I picked up and watched already were The Shrouds, which we're going to talk about
Yep.
in a minute here. That I decided to make that my blind buy.
Right.
History of Violence, which you unfortunately haven't got your hands on yet.
Which I love the cover of that one.
Yeah, dude, I heard people complaining about it, but yeah, I like the cartoony kind of illustration style.
I think
And
a
I don't
great
know.
Criterion cover can really like expand on the whole vibe of the movie in a different way than like what you're used to. And I think that cover absolutely does that for me because it has a
Yeah,
very almost dull look to it, I feel like. And I think that's a part of
yeah,
it because it's in this supposed to be, boring, semi-rural, semi-suburban town. And I just feel like that weird cartoony imagery on the front just it adds to the feeling of the movie in a way that I wouldn't have experienced if they just had like a cover that was like a picture straight out of the movie.
yeah. No, I totally get what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, it's emblematic of like the town that he lives in, obviously. Yeah, and the fact that he's red, it kind of like symbolizes, or at least I think it symbolizes him like
Yeah.
being kind of bad in a way without
Like
spoiling the movie.
sometimes like we'll jump ahead, but I got You Can Count on Me, which I mentioned recently, and this is like the opposite. This is like the picture is just a still shot like straight out of the movie, and I mean it looks cool and it's fine, but like I always like when like the picture on A History of Violence, that seems like it would just be like a standalone art piece from one of those like
Mhm.
pop culture galleries.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
here
It's
for it.
it's cool when they get like artistic with it, and it's not just a screenshot from the movie. Um, but the last one I got, and I watched for the first time the other day, Naked Lunch, and this movie
Yeah.
is fucking weird, dude. Have you ever seen Naked Lunch?
I think I made one attempt. I can't remember it at all, but I think I like put it on to start it, and I was like, not really sure if I'm digging this right now.
Yeah, this might be his weirdest movie I've seen. There's like a talking bug. I think most of it is just like about this dude who's a drug addict and he's kind of like hallucinating and seeing all this stuff, but his
Yeah,
like
sure.
typewriter is this massive like beetle bug and it talks out of what looks like a butt like on its back, this massive butt, and it's just gross and there's a lot of nasty, not really body horror stuff, I guess, but um weird practical effects and stuff, and it feels kind of like a noir a little bit. So I think maybe you would be into it, but
Okay, that's fair.
yeah, it's about this. It actually reminded me a lot of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, because it's about this guy who's like he gets sent on this like weird mission to like write a story or something. I don't know. I don't even understand it, but
Yeah, I mean, I do feel like I could dive into it at some point. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is one of those movies that I appreciate, but I don't really feel like watching like ever. Do you know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
Which,
it's been quite a few years. I found a really good deal on that 4K like months ago, and I still haven't watched it again yet.
yeah, I mean, I own the Criterion Blu-ray. It's just it's not one that I'm always like, oh, this feels like a good Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas night.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Well, that all being said, I got a bunch of other stuff, but I don't need to show. I made a video showing off a bunch of stuff that I got, so you can check that out if you're watching on YouTube.
Please.
All right, Matt. So as previously mentioned, I've been on a little bit of a David Cronenberg kick. So originally I was gonna do Odd Man Out for like a Noir-vember type movie, but I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't think you haven't seen that movie, right?
I haven't.
No. Yeah, it's just, your typical noir movie, and there wasn't that much interesting to say about it. So when I watched The Shrouds, I was like, this could be fun to watch and talk about if you've seen it, right?
I have seen it. I
Yeah.
watched it on Criterion Channel actually.
Okay. And it's kind of interesting, just a physical media fact about it. This is the first Criterion Premieres release, so it's not spine numbered. So it's technically in the collection, but not really, I guess.
Yeah, I know they have a couple weird spin-off situations.
Yeah, they have the Janus Contemporaries, which
Yeah.
I think the Beast is in, that we talked about a little bit
Oh
before.
yeah,
Which you've
yeah.
seen, yeah. But anyway, this one feels pretty similar to a lot of other David Cronenberg stuff, with the exception of, for me, and I actually looked this up. It felt like deeply personal, like super a lot about grief and whatnot. Apparently,
For
his
sure.
wife died. I want to say like 6 years ago or something. Cronenberg's wife died, and
Oh,
it makes a lot of sense if you've
yeah.
seen this movie. It's basically about Vincent Cassell plays this guy. He's a really wealthy guy who comes up with this technology where it's like a camera system that's like a piece of clothing that you wrap, like a big blanket that you wrap around the body, and it's got cameras all over it. So the grieving loved ones or whatever can go to the gravesite, log in with their cell phone, and basically like watch the decomposing body of the body.
Yeah.
um,
It's
and
definitely a very uh prescient but disturbing take on where we're heading with technology. Like
well, yeah,
and that's
I feel like Cronenberg has been like playing with those ideas for a while, especially with like his other movies, like Videodrome kind of does that too, where there's like the blending of technology and humanity kind of. That's like a theme that he likes to
yeah.
think about and explore in his movies for sure.
And
Um,
to a degree it feels believable, but then it's also like so messed up that you're like, well, I don't know. I don't know
I
about
know.
that.
I was thinking about that. I was like, what kind of clients are you getting for something like this? I mean, it's pretty morbid to like want to look at the decomposing body of someone that you once loved and cared about, you know?
Well, and they're
But
definitely like catering to the wealthy in the movie.
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
This is for rich people, this
Yeah.
service.
Yeah. And there's also some very kinky sex stuff which he is known to have in his
So
movies.
I might have I have this weird feeling like we talked about this movie when I watched it. a little
Do
bit.
you?
I can't.
I don't
No,
remember.
not at all. Okay, so that's good. As I like go back to one of our random old episodes, and there's a whole segment of me. Um, so you brought this up, and you and me watched Cronenberg's Crash together one day at my house,
Hmm.
right? Just a
Yeah, some of the
just
body horror in this is very similar to the body horror in Crash, where it's not really like it's not like Videodrome where it's like weird stuff that doesn't exist. It's more like scars and mutilated bodies and
yeah.
stuff.
So yeah, Keith and I just a lovely, completely normal Saturday afternoon watching Cronenberg's Crash.
Well, I had
Uh,
never seen it before, and I saw it on your shelves as I was scanning your collection, and I was like, "Oh, this one looks cool. Let's watch this one."
yeah, and it was a great time for me. I actually really like that one. I sort of feel like you were kind of lukewarm on it.
Yeah, I think I told you before. Like the real kinky sex stuff freaks me out.
Yeah,
So
and that's fair. But I was immediately reminded of Crash by this movie. Well, not immediately. There's a part that the sex scene in Shrouds. There's a very similar sex scene in Crash, like the kind of like weird, dirty talking thing that's going on when they're like on their sides
yeah,
or whatever. Like it's almost like a recreation of that scene. And I was
yeah.
like,
I'm not
wow,
really remembering that scene from Crash as you're bringing it
there's
up right now. I haven't watched Crash since we watched it those years ago at your house.
yeah,
But that scene, wow, was intense. And it's not
absolutely.
even about like the visuals of what you're seeing. It's more about the way they're talking to each
It's the
other.
psychological effect of like what they're saying and what's like turning them
Yeah.
on. Like,
Because it's so fucked up. Like
yeah,
we can spoil. I think we can spoil that. It's
sure,
fine. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
it's a newer movie, but it's just one little piece of it. Like basically, he's sleeping with the sister of his dead wife, and they're like talking about her while they're doing it, and it's like she's getting turned on by him, like being turned on by that. I don't know. It's wild.
yeah. Well, I there is a very similar scene in Crash, and I was like, huh, this must be something that Cronenberg feels like needs to be expanded on. He didn't quite get it all out in Crash. He's like, I got to take another shot at that scene, and it's something that you hear and you'll see in like different directors of them. Like sometimes you'll hear it said as like they're trying to make the same movie or like trying to have the same scene because it's like it's almost like they couldn't execute it exactly as they intended to the first time, and you'll see them kind of keep retrying to do it. And
Hmm.
this felt like an example of that because I was just like, this is just like so similar to a scene in Crash. And of course, we want to make the distinction. We keep saying Crash like this is not the Oscar winning Crash. Just look up Cronenberg's Crash.
Yeah.
So here's I was a little bit down on this because I felt like it had a really digital look to it that I was like not digging.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the look either. And especially when every time they pull up an iPad or the phone to
Yeah.
look at the body, it's like clearly this low res, like, or not well rendered, like 3D image of a
Yeah.
skeleton, and it just looks really bad. And you see it a lot actually throughout the movie, and it kind of throws you out of it, or it threw me out of it.
Yeah. So I didn't like that. And also the whole thing with his little digital assistant or whatever, which I kind of get what they're going with there. I mean, it's like the
Yeah,
idea of we've graduated a little bit from smartphones to the fact like we have a personalized AI app thing or
yeah.
whatever that guides us through everything. But it's like getting hacked, like
Yeah,
too, is
it's
like a part.
kind of like the Scarlett Johansson AI from Her.
Yeah, except like this actually has a physical, cartoonish, like like visual element.
That that was taking me out of the movie too, like
Yeah, yeah.
the visual of it, because it does just look like a sim or something. Like,
I know that's the thing. It doesn't seem like of the times. Like everything is like this. There's this all this futuristic technology, but yeah, to your point, that looks like something out of like 2005.
it's like fucking a sim character from PS2 Sims or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. I know. But I mean, with Cronenberg, it's always interesting and cool and makes you think. But I've had this problem over the last several years now with these more and more movies that just have this very Like it's not CGI, but they just have a very, I mean, there's CGI in it, don't get me wrong, but like the movie just has like this very digital look, and I don't love it.
Yeah. No, I agree. It makes the movie look cheap, kind of, to me.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there's some cool stuff going on with it. Like he plays with some ideas of like there's like some conspiracy theory stuff and some like Russian mob type stuff, which was funny after watching God, what's that? A History of Violence. It's like
Yeah.
kind of similar ideas as that one a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was let down with the ending though. I was like, what the hell?
I can't actually remember the ending, so it must not have stuck with me enough. I mean, I
it's
kind of know.
it's just unsatisfying.
Yeah.
It doesn't wrap up in a way of like no nothing really. This isn't really a spoiler, I guess. Like nothing really gets answered, I
Yeah.
guess you could say.
I kind and it's like I kind of remember everything like with Guy Pearce and like what's going on with him and his character, but then I can't remember like the very end. But now that you're saying it, I think it's kind of coming back to me. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I left feeling a little unsatisfied, but it was definitely like an experience,
Hmm. Yeah. I
which is
think the only thing I wrote on my letterbox was like, it's crazy that the gnarliest thing in this movie was a sound effect. Do you know what I was referring to?
I couldn't remember that.
All right. It was in like it was like a dream sequence where Vincent Cassell was like sleeping with his wife, and she was like, it was when she was coming back from the
Oh,
doctors or something, and
yeah,
she's like,
yeah,
"Oh, we
yeah.
could still have sex," and then it was like he basically breaks her hip
Yes,
while they're
yes.
doing
Okay, I
it.
do. Yeah,
It's
I
like
remember that scene well, and that
nasty.
actually was effectively disturbing.
Yeah, I verbally groaned. I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh."
All right, that's the Shrouds.
Yeah, that's the Shrouds.
Okay, so for my uh, blind buy, I got during the Criterion Flash sale. I tried to talk about it last episode, and I knew that I was going to do this, and then I did, and then I tried to correct myself, and I did it wrong again. So it's directed by Kenneth Lonergan. I said Kenneth Longerman, and then I stopped, and I knew it was wrong, and then I just said it again, and I just said Kenneth Longerman again. But directed by Kenneth Lonergan. You Can Count on Me is the name of it. I had never seen it. And it's actually on Criterion Channel right now. And I've told you before, I've waxed poetic about their little curated like groupings of movies that they'll do, and I feel like they keep getting better and better at it. And there's one up there right now for like the Thanksgiving time period. I think it's called like Family Reunions or whatever, and it's like
Mhm.
this like Margot at the Wedding, Garden State is on there. It's a lot of movies about people like coming home or coming back, and I I have now like embraced that style movie as being a Thanksgiving time period type of movie too. Like, because Royal Tenenbaums is probably like the king of that. Like, I think that's
Mhm.
number one, and a lot of times I've watched that around like the Thanksgiving time period. But I do think that there's a lot more of them than I had realized, and Criterion Channel is helping me get there. But so Kenneth Lonergan kind of makes these slice of life dark movies that have comedy. I mean, they're a dark comedy, but if you've ever seen Manchester by the Sea, about as dark of a movie as can be. But there actually is a lot of funny stuff in it. Like once you're going,
I was
it,
just about to look him up, but when you said Manchester by the Sea, I was like, "Oh yeah, I've seen
he's
that one."
also he also directed this movie called Margaret. I think that was really like I think a critical darling and beloved, but it was like very small. Like it didn't really have a big release. It didn't have a big physical media release. It has a good well known cast in it. I've still never seen it. It's been on my watch list for like 10 years. Um, but this was an earlier movie by him, 2000. It's got a young Mark Ruffalo, like looking skinny as hell. Laura Linney is in it. Weirdly, like Matthew Broderick is in it, kind of playing. I mean, he's kind of an ass, but he seems very similar to his election character, other than like he's not like the focal point, but he is in it a lot, and he just seems he's channeling that performance a little bit maybe in this as well. But Mark Ruffalo plays their brother and sister, him and Laura Linney, and he basically is just this loser dude. They've only had each other because Their parents died when they were very young, and he's been out living, in different places of the world trying to make a buck, but like moving from town to town, never really in like long, stable relationships, living in crappy apartments. And she's like fine. She has a kid, but she's divorced, but she has like a job at a bank. And it really was reminding me of our uh, past in upstate New York. It's just like that kind of town, like a smaller town. She just works at like a small credit union or whatever. And all of the people in town just like, it was very much like giving me those vibes and in a positive way. Like it was evoking
Mhm.
like certain just nostalgic feelings for
Yeah.
just time
Those movies
periods
are
in our
cozy
lives.
to me.
Yeah, exactly. And it definitely it's on the cozy movie list. Like this should be for anyone's like Thanksgiving era cozy movies. Like this needs to be on your list, even though there's nothing holiday wise about it. It's just if the idea of coming home, returning home, and being around people that you know, especially like people that you haven't seen in a while, if that reminds you of Thanksgiving, which for me it does, that like I would associate this movie with that time period. And um, there's funny stuff in it. There's poignant moments in it because there's a whole situation where her son doesn't really know his dad, but he's like still around town, and that's like something that's like looming over the characters in the movie. But there's also like this whole kind of comedic big daddy type element to it because the Mark Ruffalo character just doesn't know what the hell he's doing, but he's kind of like comes back, and because she's out like dating and trying to have a life, like he'll take her son, but he just is not can't be trusted to be a responsible like father figure or parent type figure in any way, and he's like taking him to local bars and playing pool with like a bunch of people even though he's just like a kid. um so I like really liked it on my first watch. I was like, yes, this is 100% for me. I am into Kenneth Lonergan, and this is like way more rewatchable than Manchester by the Sea. Even though that's a movie I like quite a bit, there's just not a lot of times that feel like the right time to put that on. That's just like,
Okay, I just have to point these out real quick because I did look up Kenneth Lonergan on IMDb real
Lonergan.
fast.
Yeah,
His 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 first writing credit is the TV show Doug, the
I love it.
cartoon,
I love it.
written by, and then also included in his writing credits, The Adventures of Rocky and Bullwinkle from 2000,
Yeah.
and then from 2002, Gangs of New York. He wrote the
So
screenplay.
he's a genius, obviously.
This man has range from Doug to Gangs of New York to Manchester by the Sea. Jesus Christ, what a fucking resume.
It's good to be well rounded, my friend. So
All right,
that's
that just had to be said before we end
yes.
this
So
segment.
that's the criterion. You can count on me. I've got the 4K, no biggie. But
No
that
biggie.
this was a blind buy that I was very happy with.
All right, Matt, it's time for the spotlight. We're doing Kevin Smith's fourth movie, Dogma. Take it away.
The 1990s launched a movement in indie filmmaking that featured directors who would remain names in the industry for decades to come. Among those names were Quentin Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez, Wes Anderson, Richard Linklater, Darren Aronofsky. The list goes on. Perhaps the least prominent of the bunch was none other than Kevin Smith. Smith was one of the Gen X voices throughout the 90s and early 2000s, bouncing back and forth between independent and studio ventures with a group of crass but lovable characters from his created View Askew universe. The early stories focused on the types of heroes that would dominate the era: directionless, early 20 somethings that worked in movie rental stores and hung out in malls. The clever, dialogue driven humor that revolved around sex, drugs, superheroes, and the complexities of relationships was the driving force of his movies, which relied more on the character dynamics and less on the visual product, with minimal camera activity. Following huge recognition from his debut feature Clerks, Smith would wade into the studio waters with Mallrats, a colossal bomb that would go on to have a second life in the physical media realm. He would bounce back with another indie effort, Chasing Amy, which would later go on to be probably his most controversial movie, but was generally beloved at the time. His second and third films also saw the director form one of his key acting relationships in future megastar Ben Affleck. Chasing Amy helped Kevin Smith rise from the ashes of Mallrats, and he was now going to have a $10 million budget to work with for his next picture, Dogma, one that would see him work with a cast of more recognizable actors, including Affleck, Matt Damon, Chris Rock, Linda Fiorentino, Selma Hayek, and Alan Rickman. While he would later go on to work in the studio system in many future efforts, I think Dogma is the sweet spot for Smith, in the sense that it's his words being delivered by true, tested performers, blending story and humor in the right amount of his beloved drug dealing duo, Jay and Silent Bob. I often think of Dogma as the last of this Smith era, and that there is a line of demarcation following this entry. Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back and Clerks 2 were certainly part of the View Askew universe, but they felt like more of a phase 2. Watching Affleck and Damon play the parts of Loki and Bartleby, angels who had been banned from heaven, trying to exploit some random loophole to get back, all the while going on some misguided crusade, is endlessly enjoyable. And it really gave a different look at how Smith's dialogue could be delivered. I love his early movies, and no disrespect to those performers, but seeing these lines delivered by heavyweights is just a different experience. Prior to watching Dogma for this episode, it had been many years since I had dove in, mostly because the DVD I have had been sitting at my sister's house in North Carolina. I'm happy to report that on this recent viewing, I found myself experiencing maybe a surprising amount of laughs. And while Smith hasn't necessarily maintained his critical status, the movie is a reminder of what he meant and represented during this certain era of movies. All right, Keith. So we start off with a little bit of a disclaimer in the beginning, and it kind of puts you right back in the mood of why this stuff was a little bit of a lightning rod. I didn't write this down at all, but I do remember that this movie maybe I certainly hadn't seen any Kevin Smith movies when this movie came out. Let me just put that out there. I had not seen any of his movies by the time this came out, but I do remember a movie called Dogma coming out, and that it was like being protested by like the Catholic Church.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Yeah, I think when you look into it now, yeah, it was definitely very divisive at the time, and even to this day, I think a little bit divisive. I think
Which
part of the reason why it's so hard to find on physical media, or was for a while, was because of the religious stuff. But
I don't know. It's so weird to me. I mean, I watched this, and look, I mean, if you wanted to say anything is offensive, I mean, all of Jay's dialogue, in terms of just being like literally the most crass character that's ever been in movies. Like, I, I'd be like, okay, yeah, like this guy is a little off-putting, but I don't know. I mean, I'll tell you, I was raised Catholic. I would say I am not a practicing Catholic, and I don't really consider myself a religious person. But I just don't find this like it's a movie. And maybe it's a movie
yeah,
that's saying things, but it's so stunning to me that people can just get so worked up about this stuff. And you can
yeah. Well,
see it.
people take religion very seriously.
I know.
So
I know, but it's
it's
just like,
unfortunate.
why can't it just be to each their own? What's wrong with
And I
that?
feel like that's part of what the movie is trying to say, though, especially with the beginning, like the little preamble that you're talking about, like the note that he gives. He's like, "This is a joke. Like, look at the platypus. Like, God has a sense of humor." And
Yeah.
I had never really paid that close attention to the end credits of the movie until this time. But did you see like there's like a list of like people that Kevin Smith thanks, and then um yeah, he also said there's something else in there about the religious stuff too, but I'm blanking on it now. Sorry.
I don't know. It's just like my advice to people is just have some fun with it if you can. If you can't have fun with it, fine. Then just leave it alone. I
Oh,
mean,
it came back to me. So he in that area where he's thanking people, he mentions that he was raised Catholic and in the text somewhere.
yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, that's actually kind of surprising to me, like given this movie." I don't know.
No, yeah, well, I mean, it's one of those things that I think it's a self-reflection a little bit, because I think that a lot of times, and I'm not going to put myself in his shoes, but I think you get raised with something, and maybe there's parts of it that you like, and maybe there's parts of it that you don't like, and there's things that you can be critical of, and there's things that you can question, but at the same time it's part of your DNA. So there's just a little bit of complexity to it, and there's things that you want to explore. Now, I know, just because I was a Kevin Smith fan for a long time, like, one of the things that he would do in the early years of View Askew is, for like all of the movies that would come out, him and Scott Mosier would go to church, and Scott Mosier was like a noted like atheist, but like I think he would just go for like the experience, but they would go like the night before the release or whatever. Just
Hmm.
go to church. I think for Kevin Smith, it was like, there was something therapeutic about it, and he was going to actually like say a prayer for the movie or whatever it was. And then like Scott Mosier would just go along, as
Yeah.
like, I'm along for the ride type of things. But I do think to some degree, religion remained part of it to him. But I think what this movie is him expressing, you know, it's this thing that there's good things that you can pull from it, but there's things that people maybe take too serious about it, and it causes like bad things to happen. That's the
Yeah.
exploration. You don't have to agree
I
with it, but I think that's what's being explored here.
Yeah. I mean, I really vibe with a lot of the stuff that Rufus's character says in the movie, where it's
Yeah,
like it's more religion's more about an idea than like following all these rules and stuff. And
yeah,
dude, I will say, like, this might sound cheesy to say, but that I feel like that had an impact on me as a kid, because this I saw this at a very young age. It was either this or Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back were the first Kevin Smith movies that I saw, and it was because my older stepbrother Seth had these on, I can't remember if it was VHS or DVD, but I remember watching them when I was like 11 or 12 years old with him,
yeah,
maybe 13. And he introduced me to these movies, and I remember hearing some of the stuff Rufus was saying and being like, because my parents, I didn't go to Catholic church, but my
sure,
parents made me go to like regular, I don't even know what you call it, just regular Protestant or something. I don't know. I
yeah.
don't remember. It's been a very long
Regular
time,
church.
but they made me go to church when I was a kid, and I hated it. But I did vibe with like a lot of the stuff like that Rufus is saying in the movie.
Yeah, I don't want to jump ahead, but I'll just say, like, the only real thing that I wrote down in my notes about themes of the movie is that basically that Rufus Bethany scene on the train, I think, is the crux. Like, that conversation, that's where he says that. The ideas versus beliefs,
Yeah,
like that is the crux of the idea. Like, you could just watch that scene and be like, okay, this is what the movie is really about,
yeah,
with a bunch of like dick jokes along the way.
yeah,
And that's one of the fun things about Kevin Smith, right? Like, you can make a movie about this, but it's like, you know, the underbelly of it is that, but like the kind of main surface level stuff that you're experiencing is like, this crazy journey with a couple of lovable stoner characters.
yeah. I do think it's kind of sad that I feel like his movies are mostly remembered for like the crass Jay and Silent Bob stuff, but he
Yeah.
really does have some cool philosophical ideas and things that he's talking about in like all of his movies, or most of them, or at least
Yeah.
his first few really good movies.
And I think the beginning of this movie is what made this movie be somewhat successful and resonate with people at the time, because I mean, I don't have this on good authority. I mostly only have like my own experiences and me looking around, but it does sort of feel like the 90s was a time period where people did start to become a little bit more disillusioned with going to church, and maybe attendances were falling off, and I think has only happened like more since then. I mean, I don't have any statistics to back that up. It just
Yeah.
feels that way. And so I think that it was something that was kind of resonating with people at the time. There's that part where Bethany is in church, and it's just like kids playing with their toys or whatever. And it's like, well, I mean, I don't think that's what they had in mind when they built the place.
Yeah, when we were watching it, Chris was like, "Yeah, I can't believe my parents used to take us, like her and her brother, to church every weekend and be like, how did you keep these two kids quiet and not being like those kids playing with toys?"
Well, yeah, for me, it was always like wanting to go to breakfast after church. That was like the thing I always looked forward to. My love of breakfast, I think maybe just is, you could trace it back to that. Like, the fact that got to go out to eat breakfast like after church, that was like a real highlight of my week.
for any of the breakfast homies, Matt runs a breakfast sandwich Instagram account called Babes of Breakfast Sammy, so check
Yeah.
that out.
Yeah. Yeah, we know you're out there, all the breakfast bros. Which I did
Breakfast
start that
Bros.
as like a joke, like influencer account. I mean, like everything with me, it's like real and a joke, you
It's like
know?
semi joke. It's like if
Yeah.
this blows up, I'll be happy about it, but
Well, it's my whole life. I mean, I started it just kind of making fun of like it's not about blowing up, but the real part of it is I really do make myself breakfast a lot and take pictures of it. Like that's real.
yeah.
That's not a joke. But
And
then
they
I was like,
always look beautiful. They're
thank you.
beautiful
Yes, I
sandwiches.
take a lot of pride in my breakfast sandwiches. I appreciate it. But like, so that is real that I do that. And then I was just like, well, what if I did that and made it be like a joke account? And then the reason why it's babes is like because it's like it'll be funnier if they if it's like if it seems like it's a girl doing it, not just giant omelets all over the place. Um So after the disclaimer, we have a quick shot, and it's the Jersey Shore. Just quick note from me, always reminds me of The Sopranos. When you see
yeah.
like the Jersey Boardwalk, I don't know. There's so many things you could think of. Atlantic City, Bruce Springsteen, whatever. For me, every time I see a boardwalk on the Jersey Shore, it's The Sopranos. That's what it reminds me of. We see an old man get attacked by roller hockey demons. We don't know that they're demons at the time, but we come to find out that's what they are.
It seems like a Joseph Gordon-Levitt's crew from H2O.
Definitely. If he hadn't gotten that blade in the head, he definitely. They should have had him like reincarnated. How great would that be?
Yeah.
Like the Viewisk universe crosses over with Halloween.
But this came out before H2O, didn't it?
I don't know. What is this,
Maybe.
99?
I don't know. I think, yeah.
Please. I mean, it had to be like right around the same era. I would have thought this was after.
99.
This is 99. Are you going to look up when H2O came out?
Yes.
Okay, please. Because I need to know now. I definitely thought this was after.
Oh, it is. H2O came out in 98.
Yeah. See? So it definitely it works out. The timeline checks out. Joseph Gordon-Levitt definitely could have been one of these guys. By the way, did you hold up your DVD? We're both
No.
we both watched this on DVD. It's kind of big news that there's a new 4K out because this really hasn't been. Is it out now or is it on pre-order now or it's soon? Right?
So there's kind of a snafu.
Oh no.
Umbrella announced it, and Umbrella is still putting it out like overseas, but the U.S. release got canceled, and now Lionsgate Limited is putting it out, and they'll probably give you some shitty packaging like your Knock Knock Blu-ray.
That's a shame. Do you
But check
what
this out.
happened? You know?
I have mine's in the Blockbuster case. Just wanted to show that.
Yeah, that is really cool. That's
What
I'm
happened? I
actually-
don't know. I think it's just a rights thing.
Okay. Because I thought Kevin Smith got the rights. Like,
I don't know. It's a mess because it's part of the Weinstein deal.
Yeah. Right. As these things often are. But this one has been, I mean, there was a Blu-ray, but I think it's been out of print for like quite some time. So I actually talked about recently taking a bunch of DVDs back from my sister's house to my last visit to the Carolinas. This was one of them because I knew it was unavailable. And then you happened to say, hey, we should do it for the show. So.
Oh yeah, I also did want to mention this is kind of this is kind of like our first request because our buddy Hudson96919 requested this specifically in a
that's
comment.
great.
So
That's great.
Hudson, this is for you.
Absolutely. All right, so then we meet Cardinal Glick, played by George Carlin, who's rededicating a church in the image of the Buddy Christ, which is just always a hilarious, like, Jesus statue or whatever, with them giving, like, the thumbs up. It's very cartoony. The church, Keith, very close to my house, that church.
In Pittsburgh, yeah.
Yeah, it's closed, but drove by it relatively recently. It's very close to my house. One of the
The
times
church is closed?
I think
like
it was closed.
dilapidated?
It doesn't look dilapidated, but it is boarded up.
Oh.
Interesting. But I think it's been closed I think it might have been closed when they filmed this.
I do remember when those rights issues kind of started to get figured out, Kevin Smith like took a picture in front of that church again, I think, and posted it on social media and was like, "It's coming back," because it did a
Yeah.
little theater run for I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. Um, yeah, he has a decent history with Pittsburgh because I think he dated a girl that was here when he was younger, so he would like make trips out here, and then he filmed a couple of movies here. So I mean, this is filmed heavily in Pittsburgh. I think there's some filming other places. Obviously, we see the Jersey boardwalk, but like, I think this is like 80% filmed in
Yeah,
Pittsburgh.
in the credits it says filmed in wherever Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, After meeting Cardinal Glick, we cut to the airport, which says Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So I guess, Keith, this is where you and I cross paths because it says it's Wisconsin, but this is actually the Pittsburgh airport.
Yeah. We don't have the those standing walking escalators that they're
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
in the Milwaukee airport, and Chris duly noted that while we're watching. She's like, "That's bullshit. They don't have that in the Milwaukee airport."
Yeah. And I was like, for 26 years ago, the Pittsburgh airport actually didn't look much updated from this. Some of the stuff looked very familiar.
Mhm.
However, Pittsburgh has been in the middle of a big remodel, and they're actually opening their new terminal like this week, which is weird. That like,
Yeah.
I don't know, just like weird timing to be like, because like putting it on, I'm like, man, it does seem like this airport could use an update since a lot of this shit is still kind of the same. And then it's like,
Doesn't the
oh,
Pittsburgh airport have like a fucking T-Rex in it or something?
there is a
I feel like I remember
dinosaur.
seeing dinosaur bones.
There is a dinosaur, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, "This is awesome."
I'm not sure where that's getting moved in the new terminal. It might not make it. Yeah, I know.
Also, should be noted pre 2001 9/11. A
Yeah.
big, I mean, not really big part of it, but just the fact that they're at the gate, just sitting there eating popcorn, hanging out, watching
Yes.
people get off the plane and greet each other. That doesn't happen anymore.
I know it's weird because there's this movie and then there's also Wonder Boys, which is a movie I like quite a bit with Michael Douglas. Also that one takes place in Pittsburgh and is filmed in Pittsburgh. And there's also a scene where he just walks in the airport to pick up Robert Downey Jr. and he just walks up to the gate, and it's very odd to see that in a
Yeah,
movie and just
yeah.
to
I mean,
think about
nowadays
that time.
you have to show your ticket to security to get through to those
Yeah,
areas.
for sure. I mean, it's just a different world.
Yeah.
So these guys are discussing. We find out that they're angels, former angels, basically, who were kicked out of heaven. Loki was the angel of death, and
Hmm.
um, Bartleby, I guess. I think they talk about what he is, but he would more speak at these big mass murder events or whatever, these genocide type things where the angel of death was killing everyone. But and it's introduced to us that Bartleby was originally the one that kind of had this kind of crisis of faith and was like, what are we doing? This is bad. Why are we doing all this Old Testament shit? Like, I don't
Yeah,
like
so
this.
the explanation for why they've been banished from heaven is Bartleby talked Loki into throwing his sword down. I think you find this out a little bit later, but that's why
Yeah,
they're
no, they talk
banished.
about it here because they talk about how he got drunk when he did it,
Yeah.
which is like, oh, and angels aren't allowed to drink
Yeah.
because of that. Um, so since then they were banished to uh there's like a joke.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, which is basically like it's kind of a joke about Wisconsin sucking, but like I
Yeah.
will go on record to say Wisconsin is my favorite state in the
Yeah.
continental
It
US.
always it always hurts me a little bit when I watch this movie and they just talk shit on Milwaukee and Wisconsin constantly.
It's a funny joke for the movie, but these people are dead wrong because I'm listen, booze, cheese. Do I need to say more? I
I will
mean,
also say too, we talked about this a little bit in a previous episode, but I saw Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes do their oral sex tour
oh,
here in
that's funny.
Madison.
I didn't think about
And
that. Yeah.
at the beginning of the show, they were talking about how much they loved Madison. They're like, "Oh, this place is beautiful." They're talking about driving down Monona Drive or whatever and seeing the
Yeah.
people flying their freaking wind surfboards or whatever on the lake and how
That's
everybody's out riding bikes and being
yeah.
active and stuff. And Jason Mewes was like, "Oh man, I could live here."
You know what though? You know what I would say about Madison? I love Madison, but I could use like less people on bikes.
Yeah, that is. If you live here, it's an annoying part
Yeah.
of it.
I
I've been
also
yelled
saw,
at by people on bikes in stupid spandex before.
yeah, you and me got yelled at together,
Yeah.
and like when we were just trying to like take some pictures by the water.
Yeah.
That was not cool. But I also saw Kevin Smith. It wasn't with Jason Mewes, it was with Scott Mosier, but in Madison.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Not with you though.
Yeah. I think you told me about this last time we were talking about it.
Were you not there then?
I don't know. When
I
was
think
this?
I think this was, no, you weren't there. This was like East Johnson House before you moved. I think you
No.
were, I don't know if you moved back. There was a room
No.
for, I stayed in the room that was meant
Yeah.
to be for you if you were going to come
I,
back.
I think they held like a closet sized room for
Yeah.
me if I was gonna move back, but I didn't end up moving back.
Yes. Yes. That was the room that I stayed in. I stayed in your closet sized room. I was like Harry Potter. Um, so it's become apparent to them that there's this loophole that they can use to get back into heaven, which is basically like this church that Cardinal Glick, because this idea of the Buddy Christ, I can't even remember the whole explanation. Like, it
It's
will.
like if they walk through the arch, their sins will all be forgiven. So if they
Oh
can
yeah,
do that and then die immediately after, then they can go back to heaven. That's
that's
their whole
right. That's
plan.
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you for helping me out there, because basically that's part of like what Cardinal Glick is saying about this church, and then it's this whole thing that God has to honor what's said or whatever. There's a whole explanation behind it.
Hmm.
But they decide that they're gonna have some fun before doing this, and Loki. Well, they think that if they kill people who have sinned, that it's gonna get them back in God's good graces. So,
Yeah, it was.
yeah,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So that's what they plan to do, and they leave the airport. But we cut to meeting Bethany, played by Linda Fiorentino, who was a woman actress who was in things in the '90s. I
I
don't.
always just remember her from Men in Black, and that's it. Just Men in Black and
Yeah,
this.
yeah. The Last Seduction was a movie she was in that I saw maybe on Criterion Channel in the last couple of years. I think it was sometime in the '90s as well. But she was, oh, Jade is a movie that she's in.
Oh,
Uh,
really? I still haven't
yeah.
seen that, but I know there's a cool physical release of that you got, right?
Yes, yes. It's not a great movie.
Oh, she's in After Hours too.
Oh yeah, she is in After Hours. That's right. So what? I don't know. She had like a run during the '80s and '90s, but I don't know. She was around and then she wasn't. It was one of those
Yeah. Nothing.
situations.
Nothing since 2009.
She's talking with Janine Garofalo in this scene, which they seem like sort of the same ilk. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, they
Just
have a similar look.
the
Both
similar
like,
look and kind of like talk in a very deadpan way.
yeah. So I did hear two like casting what ifs where Janine Garofalo might have been up for this role of Bethany as well, and the singer at the end. Why am I not thinking of her name?
Alanis Morissette.
Alanis Morissette. They were
Yeah.
both. I think Kevin Smith at one point wanted either one of them to be Bethany, and scheduling reasons or something just didn't work out. So they both ended up playing two smaller roles.
Well, they have this brief interaction. It sort of feels like it's weird that Janine Garofalo is even in this, but it also adds a little like, oh, here's someone recognizable in just this like one scene. They work at an abortion clinic. We learn a little bit about Bethany and how she's sort of lost her faith, and she was left by her husband or whatever, and is kind of feeling very disillusioned about religion and really just life in general at this point. We meet Asriel in another scene played by Jason Lee, who is great. I want to point something out about what I said in the intro, which I want to like expand upon it a little bit. And one of the things that I think is maybe I don't like Dogma as much as I like Kevin Smith's first three, but it is the next one. I like his first four movies the best. I mean, I like his,
Yeah.
and then I sort of have like a little bit of a line where I feel like it's a little bit more of a fall off. And I like Dogma the least out of the first four, but I still really like it. the thing that I think is really great about it though is it's really the first time that like his dialogue is being delivered by like mostly super professional actors, which is not necessarily the case for the first three. Like,
Yeah. You could
um,
argue Chasing Amy, maybe.
yeah, that's true. I mean, Ben Affleck is the lead in that. That's true. I mean, maybe I'm being unfair, but like,
But
there's
it is rounded out by a larger cast of other characters like Chris
yeah,
Rock and
yeah.
um
I mean, just to have Chris Rock, I gotta tell you, especially these viewings as I got ready for this episode, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, you're like, yeah, these two are like, you can hear them doing like Dante and Randall type back and forth, the characters from Clerks, in a way that you're like, this is different. This is really good. Like
yeah.
it's really is a performance. Like maybe like some things you'd say about Clerks and I think it's Jeff Anderson, the guy that plays Randall. Like he's really good at that role.
Mhm.
And he seems very natural in that role, and it seems very believable because of how natural. These guys feel like they're doing a performance, but in a good way,
No, yeah, I agree for sure.
if that makes
And
sense.
obviously Alan Rickman too. It like brings a whole new level of
Absolutely.
prestige to the
Absolutely.
movie
So
in
it
general.
it just yeah, it's taking his dialogue and it's taking it up like the performers are bringing I feel like the script up even. And it's not like the script is bad, they're bringing it up with them with their performances.
Yeah.
And but one thing I want to say about it is Jason Lee, who when cast in Mallrats was not really an actor, he was like a professional skateboarder or something.
Yeah,
But
he was.
he was like amazing right out of the gate. I feel like he's so
Yeah.
good in Mallrats. He's good in this.
Well, I feel like in Chasing Amy, he played kind of more of like a brooding, kind of like dickish character.
Yeah,
Whereas in this one, he gets to be a little bit sillier, which is more his thing, I think.
for sure. Now I will say the my favorite part in Chasing Amy is his monologue about the figments of your imagination.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
he's good at that stuff.
whether or not you like that or agree with it or you feel like the joke is like too harsh or whatever, his execution of it I think is like
Yeah.
pristine.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
So Asriel, I mean, we kind of get the sense that there's probably something that's going to happen with him. I mean, he's a demon. I don't know. We don't know what the deal is, but
Yeah.
uh, we feel like something's going to happen with him. So then Bethany is visited by the Metatron, played by Alan Rickman. It's supposed to be like, I don't know, part of a choir of angels or whatever. And it's like, he's essentially the voice of God because people can't hear God's true voice because, you know, you'll explode into oblivion or something. One of those types of situations.
Yeah. If you hear God speak, your head will explode like something
Yeah.
that happens later.
Yeah. And do I have to give my like social network spiel where it's like, hey, everyone, we're not really talking about God and, you know, characters from the Bible. We're talking about the movie. Can we just make that
Yeah,
clear?
maybe.
Yeah. Like, I mean, if that's not clear, can we make that clear, please?
I don't know. We don't
Um,
get a ton of comments on our videos, so I don't really know our audience.
yeah,
Let
that's
us know. Is
true.
this episode offensive? Should we give
I
these
don't know.
disclaimers?
Just, it's, it's a comedy movie. All right. And, uh, what is it? The Metatron or whatever. He essentially tells Bethany that she needs to stop Loki and Bartleby. That's it. That's why he's showing up. He's like, you're gonna
Mhm.
meet two prophets and they'll help you.
Yeah.
So that's the crux of that
We do
movie.
get to see him pull his pants down though, and it's pretty funny. It's a
That is
pretty funny
funny.
practical effects where he's
Yes.
explaining that angels do not have private parts.
Yeah.
It's I remember being shocked by that and maybe a little disturbed the first time I saw it as a
Yeah.
12-year-old kid. I was like, "What?"
I know. I think so too. The joke is, and appropriately so, it's a Ken doll situation.
Yeah.
Um, Back in the real world, after her encounter with the Metatron, Bethany gets attacked by the hockey demon dudes and then gets rescued by Jay and Silent Bob. So we have the intro of our two characters here.
Can I say one thing real quick
Of
though
course,
about
please.
like just a couple minutes before this happens in the movie, Alan Rickman when they're in the restaurant kind of and he's explaining to her like all this stuff that's going to happen or whatever and he's basically telling her that she's going to meet the prophets, and
Yeah.
the prophets are, which you find out here, Jason Mewes and Kevin Smith, Jay and Silent Bob. But the way he talks about it, he's like, one of them talks way too much,
Yeah.
and the other one is more on the quiet side. And I don't know why, but I just think that's like a perfect piece of writing to like
Yeah.
tease ahead, like, oh, here's you know who we're talking about. Obviously, if you're
I know.
Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes fans, you know who we're talking about, but we're not going to show them right this second. Like, I think it's cool.
Yeah, I know. He does have a great line about it. I didn't write it down, but it's something like, one of them will talk a lot and
Yeah,
will not stop talking or whatever. Yeah. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
I just think
Rickman
it's
was,
a really good example of writing. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, Rickman's ability to deliver dialogue is just incredible. I mean, he's kind of deadpan too, but it's in a way that's also charismatic.
Mm-hmm, for sure.
So yeah, so we have Jay and Silent Bob rescue Bethany. I just also have to say, like, Jason Mewes, I get. I mean, if there was anybody that ever wanted to be critical of him as an actor or whatever, I mean, you're not like, oh yeah, he's definitely like an Academy Award winning dude. But I will say, he is like so good at this role.
Yeah. I
I
mean, yeah,
mean,
nobody else could be that character.
yeah, and I know like the character kind of is based off of the real life him, or it's like inspired by, but he doesn't seem, for a guy that wasn't really an actor. Now, look, whatever he went on to be in, he's in other stuff. That's great, but like he wasn't really an actor when originally casted in Clerks, just like most of the cast wasn't. But he, to me, he's like not awkward like at all. Like he seems
No.
so natural.
Yeah. And I mean, as far as our friend group went growing up and like just people in our periphery, like these dudes were like legendary for us. Like
Something to aspire to, maybe.
maybe not, maybe we shouldn't have aspired to be them, but these two dudes were like some of the funniest people in movies in our era.
Yeah, and let's be honest. I mean, Silent Bob, like Kevin Smith has like a couple lines in every movie, but for the most part, he's just doing like whatever face
Yeah.
acting, reactions, or whatever. I mean, it is mostly Jay who you're getting like the big laughs out of,
True, true.
and that's a credit to Jason Mewes.
Hmm.
Um, Loki and Bartleby buy a gun. We do see Randall from Clerks, the person selling the guns.
Hmm.
Um, and you know they have a bunch of conversation. They do have like fun banter like throughout. Like the Loki Bartleby uh, dynamic is fun to watch because it's kind of shifting throughout. They kind of talk a lot of shit to each other, which is funny. But obviously, you get the sense that these are two people who have been around each other a lot. Which, you know, the casting of Matt Damon and Ben Affleck makes that perfect for this time period because we're a couple years out from Good Will Hunting, which was a huge movie. They're both kind of becoming megastars, on their way to being megastars. Like it's very much happening for the two of them, and they just have a chemistry
Yeah.
together. I mean, if you don't know, there's a connection. You know, this whole Miramax crew. Um, Ben Affleck was, of course, in Chasing Amy in the lead role. He was originally worked with Kevin Smith in Mallrats, but then takes the lead role in Chasing Amy. Kevin Smith and Scott Mosier like gave the script for Good Will Hunting to the Weinsteins or whatever, and then it goes on and gets made. They have like executive producer credits on it. They didn't do anything else with the movie except like give the script. You know, Damon and Affleck go on to be huge stars. It was probably going to happen one way or another, but I think one of the reasons why Ben Affleck like continued to, you know, be in cameos in Kevin Smith's movies for years to follow this. I mean, I think there was a little bit of a loyalty there, and thanks for being a bridge at a time where I wasn't really anything yet.
Yeah, I want to say I've heard Ben Affleck just be very thankful to Kevin Smith for having the career that he has had. He's like, I think he attributes a lot of his success to like Kevin Smith kind of launching it almost.
Yeah, he was certainly a key part of it. And I heard Kevin Smith tell a story one time because there's this movie, Jersey Girl, that they kind of reunited. And the way Kevin Smith told the story, and I'm, you know, recounting something that I heard on a podcast 15 years ago. So if the details are a little wrong, forgive me. But I remember Kevin Smith saying something like Affleck approached him at a certain point, in more of the mid 2000s, maybe like following like Geely or something, where things were kind of like hitting a lull and like his star was, starting to fade a little bit. And he was like, "Hey, I need you to write something. I need you to write me something. Like I've really enjoyed delivering your dialogue. Like is there something like write something with me in mind?" Like basically like encouraging him to do that. And Kevin Smith was like, "Listen, like of the two of us here, one of us has an Academy Award for writing, and it ain't me." Because they did, I think they won best screenplay for Good Will Hunting. So, but he did go on to write Jersey Girl with Affleck in mind for the lead. Affleck played it. I mean, it was a bomb, and I don't even. It's kind of like considered Kevin Smith's forgettable movie of that era. I'm sure it
Mhm.
has its fans, but I couldn't even tell you if I've ever even seen it all the way through.
Yeah, I don't think I have. I've just always heard it was really bad.
So just a little aside, but these two are having like good banter. I enjoy the whole like, you know, you read at Sodom and Gomorrah, I rained down fire, and he's always like, "What do you mean you rained down fire? You lit a few fires." Like they're just constantly like downplaying each other's roles. One of my favorite lines in the movie is Loki just being like, "Mass genocide's the most exhausting activity one can engage in, next to soccer." It's just like, I don't know. I always like quote that over the years. It's like maybe not even that funny, but I always just enjoyed that line. Um, so then we cut to a diner. It's kind of like post, incident with the hockey demon dudes, and this is, well, I mean, this is maybe my favorite Jay Silent Bob like uh monologue or whatever discussion point, whatever you want to call it, in the whole movie, which is when they're talking about what they're doing in the area, because I think they're in Illinois, right? Like I don't know if it's Chicago
Yeah, they're
area.
talking about all the John Hughes movies taking place in a fictional town in Illinois or something, right? And
Yes,
that they're
and
there because in the movies they see that nobody's selling weed there or something, and they're like, "Well, we could get rich if we go here." And then they're like, "Oh shit, it's not a real town."
they wanted to move to Blunt Connection, or they wanted to move to be the Blunt Connection in Shermer, Illinois.
Yeah.
It's like, and he's like, "You want to know what we find out? There is no Shermer, Illinois. We made it up." And so they're gonna make their trek back to Jersey. Bethany puts it together that these are the prophets that she was foretold about. I also like when Jay's like, "I feel like Han Solo, she's Ben Kenobi, you're Chewie, and we're in that
In that
fucked up
fucked up
bar."
bar.
I don't know. That part like just gets me every time.
The way
It's
he delivers it is perfect. Yeah.
exactly. I mean, that's what it is. Like the Jay character could be like, so I feel like it could be such a dud, but he like the lines are good, but he really makes it work. He makes it be what it is.
Hmm.
She does make an agreement that she will hook up with them if there's 5 minutes left to live. She
Which comes back
reluctantly,
around later.
yeah, that's the reason I mentioned it. Um, Jay drives Bethany's standard car and ruins the transmission, so they don't have a car to take them for much longer. And we have a little transition sequence where a bus drives by, and then we cut onto the bus, and it's Loki and Bartleby on the bus. Banter between the two of them just continuing to prod each other. They like engage with a couple that's making out in a seat next to them. The guy played by Scott Mosier, who's the producer of the movie, was Kevin Smith's producer for several years up until I don't know, probably I think through Zach and Miri Make a Porno, and then he kind of broke off to start doing his own thing. Um, we do cut back to Bethany and Jay and Silent Bob. It's daytime. They're on a bridge, and a nude gentleman, falls from the sky, and it's Rufus, played by Chris Rock, who introduces himself as the 13th apostle. And if you don't know, there were 12 apostles, as the Bible tells it.
Yeah, some of this playing with religious mythology is like some of my favorite stuff about this movie. Like just the fact of like the Rufus's character being like, "Oh, I'm the 13th apostle, but nobody knows about me because I'm black and that's why I'm not in the
Yeah.
Bible." Like
I
that
know.
shit's cool, and the fact that God is like a woman in this and like
Yeah.
that's some of my favorite shit in this movie. It's like such a interesting funny
No,
thing. I
it
don't
is
know.
fun, and there is like, I mean, I didn't write nearly as much stuff down because there's so much dialogue crammed into this, and there's so much exposition and storytelling and like rewriting of things and filling in the blanks of things that's going on in these conversations, whether it's Rufus or Serendipity or even Loki and Bartleby talking to each other. There's like a lot of details being thrown at you. You don't
Yeah.
really need to know them all, but it is fun.
Yeah. I have heard that as like one of the main complaints people have with this movie is just like 90% of the dialogue is just expositionary. It's just
Yeah,
them explaining things like
that is true.
which I don't know. I mean, I'm okay with it, I guess, because
Same.
I'm interested in what they're explaining, but
I think that's Kevin Smith's more of his strength. Again, I mean, it's not like, I mean, that's the bit to really bite into. I mean,
yeah.
if you're not into that, then yeah, you're not really gonna like this movie or probably his movies in general.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting too because one of the things that I've heard Kevin Smith talk about a lot is like how Richard Linklater was like when he saw Slacker or something was
Yeah,
like he always points to that as like his inspiration to or his thing that's like, oh, if you can make a movie like Slacker where it is just people walking around talking, having these weird conversations, then maybe I could make a movie too. Um,
yeah, no, absolutely, and yeah, he has mentioned the Richard Linklater thing on like several interviews, talked about it like relentlessly throughout his career as like the big
mhm.
influence, inspiration for him. Um, at movies, Rufus proves who he is by telling Bethany about when she was a kid, then she let dude, this other kid, pee in her hand, and
Yeah.
the whole sequence ends with them being like, his name is Brian Johnson, and that's like just one of Kevin Smith's friends who's in a bunch of the movies, leads a podcast for the last, I don't know, 15 years now. I think it's still running, called Tell 'em Steve Dave, which I used to listen to every week for years, and I really enjoyed it. But these are the types of things that he would like throw into his scripts that like if you were a Kevin Smith fan, you knew who he was, but that was probably only like four people sitting in any given theater,
Uh-huh.
and those four people would laugh at that. And he really enjoyed throwing those things into his scripts. We cut to the strip club where we meet Salma Hayek, just a stunner who was also I mean, she still acts to this day. I would say she was like a pretty big star in the 90s.
Yeah.
You know,
Is
there
this
was
pre or post From Dusk Till Dawn?
this would be Post,
Post, okay.
and she was in Wild Wild West as well.
Yeah. I was just thinking because she plays a stripper in From
That's
Dusk Till
true.
Dawn too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Little bit of a different situation here. She is a stripper, but her real identity is Serendipity, and she's a muse.
Hmm.
And so we meet her in the strip club, but then we cut back to Mooby's corporate office where Loki and Bartleby show up, and this is probably one of the strongest scenes in the whole movie.
Yeah,
I,
when you
I
were talking about the banter between Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, this is one of the better moments, I think, too.
yeah, I think this is like one of the best well executed scenes in the whole movie.
Hmm.
The whole build up that Loki does with his little onion figure, that he does this little spiel about voodoo before eventually saying that he doesn't believe in voodoo, but it's like building tension. I do love when he's like, "Oh, this figure really does look just like you, doesn't it?" It's like, "No, it doesn't."
Yeah. I will
Uh,
say the one thing that stood out to me rewatching it this time, because it's been a few years since I watched this movie too,
yeah,
but just how dark the stories are that they're saying about these like executives, like
I
how
know.
one of them like flew to Thailand to sleep with an 11-year-old boy or something, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
you don't even hear what the head of the table did, but Matt Damon's like, he was your son, like that's
yeah.
messed up, man.
Well, and the guy starts crying. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
it
you're
is.
like, this is actually really dark.
It is dark, but to further the point that I hit on earlier, they are supposed to be killing sinners. Like Loki says that he can't kill someone that isn't a known sinner, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, now it's like maybe dumb, maybe throwaway, but I absolutely love when he's giving his spiel and then he just randomly sneezes and the
Yeah.
camera pans from his face to one group of people on the side of the table, another group of people on the side of the table, and then yet another group of people, and they all are just staring at him blankly. And then he just moves on, and then goes through the rest of this scene, and then kills everyone except for the one woman who they said was an innocent, who they said was a pure soul, and then she's like still standing there, and he's like, "Oh, I'm not going to do anything to you. You're clean. You didn't do anything. I'm not going to kill you." And then he goes, "But you didn't say God bless you when I sneezed." So mad about it. And Bartleby saves her from, incurring his wrath. But it's just like the joke is like not that great, but it's like having it tied to the camera panning to the people and him expecting them to say God bless you and the fact that no one does. And you don't really quite get it in the moment when that's happening. I
Uh-huh.
just love it. I love that part.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Cut back to the strip club, and I'm curious if you and me part ways on this. We have the introduction of a shit demon or a Golgothan, and to me, this is like the thing that holds this movie back. Like,
Really?
yeah,
I
I'm
love
not.
this part.
I figured you would. I'm like, so this is here's the biggest comparable I can give it to you, or I can give to you from my experience of watching things. And look, the scale is not going to make sense. You could poke holes in this all you want, but it's just how I feel and how I react. So I love the made for TV like the Tim Curry, whatever it was, 90s, like, I mean, I always just watch it as a movie, but it was like a made for TV miniseries. Like, I love it. I like it better than the more recent It Chapter 2. I haven't watched the Dairy series yet. I plan to at some point, but I'm sure I won't like that as much either. I love that 90s It. But the one thing, and I'm sure a lot of people will be like, "What? It's cheesy. It's campy. Whatever." I love it. I will be a defender of it. The stuff that I think they do well, I think they do well. But the one thing that will always hold it back from being a 5-star experience for me is the end with this shitty spider and just how bad it looks and how they just like pull it apart and it looks so like I think that part just stinks so bad that it holds it back from being a 5-star experience. And I kind of feel that way about this shit demon too.
Like just the way it looks, you hate?
I don't even know if I hate it. It just seems lame to me. I don't know. I
Yeah.
get that it
I
could be
don't know.
fun. It's just not that fun for me.
I mean, well, part of it is like me being a 12-year-old kid
Yeah.
still to this
Yeah.
day. It's like it's a demon made out of poop. But also going back to the like the religious mythology, I like the backstory of him, how he's like made up of the poop of all the
Yeah.
like all the criminals
That is good.
that
Yeah.
were crucified next to
That-
Jesus or whatever.
yeah.
I'm like, this is like I don't know, it seems like something that you'd see in like a video game or
I
something.
like that
Like,
too. I do. I like that. I like that element of it. Well, for one, I mean, I think you probably know this about me too. I mean, I'm not like crazy about like poop humor in general.
yeah, I'm more of a potty humor guy myself. But I
Now,
also love how Kevin Smith takes him out. Like he just sprays him with some
I,
some odor killer or something.
yeah.
It's like
Now
it's
I
so
do think that
stupid.
I do think that's funny, and it's like knocks strong odors out. That is funny.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm sure this product didn't exist at this point in time, but like, this is something I'm like, what would be even better now that would work for the same bit is if it was poopery. I don't do you
I
know.
was gonna say poopery.
Yeah. Like that would have been funny. I don't think that existed at the time.
Yeah,
But
it's
it's
probably
not.
the same thing, just that's the brand name, poopery.
Yeah, you just see that like in people's bathrooms now, and I feel like if that was the joke, that would
Yeah.
be even better. Like at this point in time.
I will give you there is a couple like I think when he like shoots some poo or something,
Yeah,
it's like some fake CGI that looks really bad. And there's like a couple other moments in this movie where the CG looks kind of bad, like when the Metatron first shows up and Bethany sprays him with the fire extinguisher, it looks like super fake smoke.
yeah,
Um, and then later on when you see Bartleby flying above the church, it kind of looks like PS2 graphics.
yeah. That part's not great. Um,
But it
yeah,
was
that.
1999. What are you gonna do?
No, I know. I mean, look, none of it. None of that makes me like hate on the movie or anything. It's just
Yeah.
I do feel like if I was taking off a half a star somewhere, I would probably be like, I don't need this scene. um, I didn't even write this in the notes, but I have to mention it because it just makes me laugh every time. I mean, even like I put the movie back on with Lindsay and she laughed at this part too. And like Loki and Bartleby are also still trying to get to the church, of course, and they're gonna get, I don't know, they're trying to buy like another bus ticket or whatever because I guess they did leave their last bus because they shot people on it, but like um they can't get a ticket or whatever, and the ticket clerk girl is like, I suggest you not underestimate the staggering drawing power of the Garden State and show up
Yeah.
2 hours in advance.
Yeah, that part's pretty good.
Obviously, Kevin Smith is like a staunch defender of the state of New Jersey, where he's from, and it's
Yeah.
featured like prominently in his movies. But that line is just funny.
I feel like New Jersey was like I don't know, just talked about a lot more in movies and TV in the 90s and 2000s, and now you don't hear about it that much anymore. But
Well,
like you said, like Sopranos and
yeah, it has a long history in the arts. I mean, Springsteen obviously heavily, talking about getting out of town, being in the darkness on the edge of town. All this, but all his like songs like take place in New Jersey or whatever. I mean, um, I don't know. I don't know if I should say that they take place in New Jersey, but obviously, like New Jersey is such a big part of the overall Springsteen aura. Is probably a better, safer way to say it. And I don't know. I think people from New Jersey, we probably have a version of this, Keith, because what I feel like people from New Jersey, they live in the shadow of New York City and they're proud of where they're from. So when those
yeah,
people like, rise to prominence in the arts, it's like New Jersey is featured heavily in that because there is this pride that like, oh, well, New York City, that's Broadway and theater and all of these things. And probably like, Los Angeles went on to be what it is, but the real history of arts in the United States, I mean, you trace it back to the theater scene in New York City, ton of music, of course, coming out of New York City, and I just feel like there's this
yeah.
element
They're
of
like the
living in the
underdog.
shadow. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and I feel
yeah. A
like
lot of the people who make it from there are proud of it. Yeah,
and frankly, I feel like you and me being from like upstate New York, I think we have there's a little bit of that too. It's like, all right,
yeah.
all right, New York City. Um, so Loki and Bartleby meet with Azrael in like a store or whatever because he chases them down and he tells them that they need to chill. He's like, you guys are making like way too much a scene. Everyone from heaven and hell are trying to kill you. Like, I will say, I don't think it's a surprise when it is revealed later that Azrael is like behind everything. That seems like kind of
Yeah,
obvious.
yeah, yeah. When he's first introduced, you're like, okay, what's this all about? But then, yeah, it's revealed later on that he's a muse as well, like Serendipity. Um,
Or was he, and then he got sent to hell? I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah. I think they say he was a muse too. Yeah.
They definitely have a history, the two of them.
Yeah. I think yeah, there's a long scene later on where he talks about how in the war between like the good angels and the bad angels and Lucifer and God, he kind of just sat it out and was waiting to see who
Oh
which
yeah,
side was gonna win. So he's kind of like a pussy or something.
there you
That's
go.
what Jay
Yeah.
calls him.
The big takeaway that comes out of this interaction is he calls Bethany the last scion, which kind of freaks them out, and we don't know what that means yet. We cut back to the train where now Rufus and Bethany and Jay and Silent Bob are traveling, and that's like I said earlier, that there's a scene in a train car where Rufus and Bethany are talking about like the ideas of religion and how it's good to have ideas, but like people take some of this stuff like too seriously, and it's caused all sorts of other problems, and it's caused violence, and it's caused just bad behavior. I mean, immoral behavior that's in the name of something that was originally supposed to be standing for something good. So it's confusing that that's the path that it ended up going down. And that's, I think, the general crux of the whole movie. If you want like the serious theme of the movie, I think it's all in this conversation.
Yeah, for sure. That's the stuff that I was saying earlier. Kind of
Yeah.
stuck with me as a kid.
So she goes to check on Jay and Silent Bob, who are with two gentlemen, Larry and Barry.
Fake,
Just a
good
fun,
fake names.
yeah. Of course, for Loki and Bartleby, and a great Matt Damon delivery when he's just like, "So Jay tells us you're gonna sleep with him,"
Yeah, yeah, it was perfect.
and Bethany has a long conversation with quote Barry about why she lost her faith in God. She reveals who she is just as Rufus is showing up, and a fight ensues. So it's
I
kind
gotta
of
say,
yeah,
before Rufus comes back, though, I don't know why it's just like one little shot, but I think it's so funny when it
yeah,
cuts back to Rufus in the what do you call that, the cabin by himself,
right.
and he's like he's like taking a nap, but he takes his shoe off and puts his shoe under his head as a pillow.
Yeah, I know. I know that part is great. And so there's this big showdown in the train car, and it culminates in Bob throwing both Loki and Bartleby off the train, and then it cuts to him just showing, or not cut. It's not a cut, but like it finishes the scene with him interacting with some random passenger who looks frightened by what just happened, and he makes like a facial expression and then says no ticket, which
Yeah, it's
is
funny because usually when Silent Bob talks in his movies, it's like some big profound thing.
yeah.
Or
Do you
some
know what this
lesson
is
to be
from?
learned or something, but this one it's literally just that. I
Do
think
you
he
know
said
what the
something at the end of the movie too, right? But I can't
Yeah,
remember.
but do you know what the no ticket thing is from?
No, what's it from?
It's from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, yeah. I
There's
think
a
I heard
there's a
that
part
before.
where like Indy is like he's on like a Nazi blimp or whatever, like fighting people, and he just
Uh-huh.
throws a dude like out one of the windows on one, and then says no ticket to one like people that are like eating dinner on it.
Yeah, I
And
don't think you could call this movie or any of Kevin Smith's movies really meta, but he does like to sprinkle in a lot of like references to other movies and just even like the John Hughes stuff they were talking about earlier.
definitely,
Like
yeah,
he likes to put the fact out there that he loves movies and knows a lot about
definitely,
movies.
yeah. I mean, there's a
You know.
part in Chasing Amy where they're doing like a version of the Jaws, uh, like Scar conversation.
Yeah.
They're doing like a version of that. So, I mean, even like two of the characters from Mallrats are named Quint and uh, Brody.
Yeah.
So,
Isn't
like,
he prominently featured in that new documentary too about
I
Jaws? I
yeah,
want to say he was like
I think so. I don't know, but that sounds familiar to me too.
I haven't watched it, but I think it came on that new release 4K or
But
whatever.
it's one of those. The no ticket thing is one of those movie references that's like so dumb but so funny if you like catch
Yeah.
it. Like it's just like because it's kind of dumb in the actual movie when it happens, like in the Last Crusade when it happens. It's kind
Mhm.
of like dumb. It's kind of funny and dumb, and but like it's just so randomly funny to include it.
Yeah.
Uh, Bartleby is growing to have like a real problem with humans. I mean, he's got a chip on his shoulder about what they got expelled from heaven for, and he's like, humans get forgiven constantly. He's like, this is bullshit. Like, he's getting like more and more worked up. Him and Loki are now having a scene in some random like parking garage or whatever, and he's just getting so worked up, and it's building to a decree that they need to like kill that crew that's now trying to stop them from entering the church. And I
Mhm.
love when Loki just goes, kill them? And then, like
Yeah.
he says some other things, but he's just like, and what about Jay and Bob, man? Those guys were all right. And
So
again,
Jay says you're gonna sleep with him.
yeah, I just think like him delivering these lines, it's just like so much better because it's Matt Damon just making it like a little bit better because he's a great actor, you know?
For sure. Yeah.
Um, Loki's like, you're getting a little out of control. He's saying Bartleby sounds like Lucifer and their partnership is starting to crack. He's like, I'm going back to Wisconsin.
He's like, I've heard a rant like this before. You sound like the Morning Star. I was like, what's the
Yeah.
Morning Star?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, there's definitely like all sorts of like biblical names and
Yeah.
references getting thrown out throughout this movie. And I mean, I don't think that there's anything like overly puzzling, but sometimes it can be hard to keep up with everything that's being said and talked
Yeah.
about.
Like we didn't mention it before either, but the names Loki and Bartleby aren't they're not really like they're not actual figures in the Bible, right? I think Loki comes from like Norse mythology or something. I think the names are just made up.
Yeah, that's probably true. I don't know well enough to say yes or no, and I didn't research it. So
Okay.
there you
We
go.
can
How about
blow
that?
past it.
Yeah. um, Metatron shows back up. He tells Bethany that she's the last blood descendant of Jesus, and also that God disappeared while playing skee ball. So like a lot of big revelations being made. They move from the woods to a restaurant, which this is actually the Grand Concourse in Pittsburgh. I've been to a wedding there, and I used to work right by there. So yeah,
Nice.
a very recognizable little place. And yeah, I mean the big takeaway is obviously this is like a big revelation for Bethany, who like says she doesn't even believe in God anymore, and now she's, you know, a blood descendant of Jesus, which I'm sure is one of the things that was very unpopular for people. But I
Mhm.
will repeat, this is a movie, not real life.
Yeah, that's just another one of those messing with the mythology thing that I think is really cool about the movie. Like saying
Yeah, and
that Jesus had like these nieces and nephews or whatever that you just never hear about. And Rufus also talking about how the Bible skips from him being 12 to 30 or something. It's like
yeah,
all that stuff is
yeah.
just cool and interesting. I don't know.
And there's a very they do something very similar with this or that this idea. I feel like in the Da Vinci Code, which is a movie that I think I saw in the theater. I'm pretty sure I saw it in the theater, yeah. And then I don't think I ever saw it again. But I do remember that there's an element that's very Last Scion esque
Yeah. Yeah,
in
I
the Da
don't
Vinci
remember
Code.
that movie well either, but sounds right. Let's blow past
They,
it.
so our crew of heroes, they visit Cardinal Glick and they try to get him to close the church, but he won't. uh, but Jay gets the last laugh because he stole his golf club, which will come in handy. And then we're in a bar, Asriel in the mix with his little demon hockey crew, orders a holy bartender, which is just him shooting the bartender several times.
Yeah.
And they have a whole little like showdown in this bar.
Bethany
But
blesses the sink water and they dunk the little hockey kids in I like
that
that part.
it culminates in that. So there's a couple things happening here. Like this is happening. We have our heroes kind of trapped by Azrael at the bar, and it's cutting back and forth between Loki and Bartleby showing up at the church, and
Okay, yeah.
they kill everyone there. um, and then there's fighting happening back at the bar. They end up Silent Bob actually kills Azrael with the golf club, and it's, you know, Azrael's like stunned because he let him just hit him with it, and he's like, "But I'm a demon," or whatever. And it's just because Cardinal Glick is a douche and like blessed his
Bless his
like
golf club so he could
his
play a better game.
yeah, and so that's why they're able to, you know, defeat Azrael with it. And then back at the church, everyone's dead around it, and in kind of a sad moment, I mean, Bartleby kills a drunk Loki.
Yeah, he pulls the same move that happens to Maximus in Gladiator. He gets like stabbed like in the side of his armor. I don't know why
Yeah.
that always reminds me of that part, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he cut his wings off, so he was human, and getting hammered. And then the heroes show up at the church, and there's a showdown with Bartleby. You did mention, and it's true, there's a part where he's like flying, and it doesn't look great. And I'm sure it's something that's not going to look great in 4K.
Some of the practical effects look cool though. Like I think their wings, especially when they're like you see Loki, you don't get to see Loki cut them off, I don't think, but they're
Yeah.
like all bloody nubs that are like moving still sometimes with like little blood spurts coming out. Um,
Yeah,
but
I
that looks
agree.
cool. And when you see the wings like before they're cut off, obviously you see 'em with Metatron too. Um, and yeah, they just I think those look cool. And also when they're dropping when Bartleby's dropping people from out of the sky, you see like some like dummy bodies hit the ground and like explode, and it's I don't know, it's kind of gross and cool.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of the yeah, like there is the one part where he's flying that doesn't look great, but a lot of the practical effects look really good. And I'm with you. I think the wings look cool and well done. Uh, One thing that did happen back at the bar that's funny. The whole reason I brought up the holy bartender thing is just how there's this long delay in the middle of them fighting, and then Jay has that moment of realization. It's like, oh, I get it, a holy
he,
bartender.
he gets the joke like 10 minutes later.
Yeah. And it's just so stupid, but it does make me laugh. Um, So they're fighting, and Jay and Bethany go and hide behind a car. Jay takes his pants off. It's like he's because he's like, oh, this is it. This is the end. You're actually gonna hook up with me. And then, but like he mentions that there's the comatose John Doe Jersey, who's been mentioned several times in the movie, but I didn't bring up. But it's actually the guy who was attacked at the very beginning of the movie. He's in a coma. Bethany realizes that it's God because it was someone, God came down to play skee ball and then was attacked and now has been in this coma. And because I don't know, because he or she, depending on which part of the movie is being referenced, uh, is in this body, they're unable to um, play a part in everything that's going on. They're, I guess, suspended. And Bethany goes, disconnects the life support. I don't get why it kills her.
Yeah, she somehow gets like a stab wound or something.
Yeah, I mean, Metatron makes a joke of like, well, you can't be a martyr without dying, which is like
Mhm.
kind of a joke, but also for the movie, it's like, well, she had to, I guess she had to die to fulfill her destiny, but um, it doesn't make practical sense. And as Bartleby is about to enter the church, we see the doors open, and Alanis Morissette, who is playing God, and Metatron show up before Bartleby enters the church, and we have a very weepy, apologetic Bartleby who is overcome by seeing Alanis Morissette and is very apologetic, and now must meet his fate by hearing the voice of God, and his head explodes.
His head and his body.
Yeah, that's true. And, then we see Bob arriving with a lifeless Bethany in arms, and God resurrects her, makes her pregnant, making her no longer the last scion. It's going to continue. God and crew return to heaven, and we're left with just Bethany and Jay and Silent Bob, and that's it. That's your movie, folks. It's a happy ending for our heroes.
Yep.
Um, I know I threw a lot in at the end. I mean, a lot happens really quickly, and that's the end of the movie. I mean, really, what you're going for is the dialogue and the jokes. I don't think you care as much about the plot at the end of the movie. Again,
Yeah.
the stuff
I
with
do
the
think it is a cool plot though, and out of all of Kevin Smith's movies, I think this one it kind of feels like a road movie almost a little
yeah,
bit.
for sure, for sure. And
And I think
and the
that's
story
just a
is
cool
fun.
aspect of the movie.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I wasn't downplaying the plot of the whole movie. I just mean at the end there's like a lot that happens really fast, and it's like I don't think you're surprised that Bartleby dies, like there's no big reveal at the end other than okay, well she is pregnant now, so she's getting her faith back, and
yeah.
obviously she has to have her faith back because it would be really weird if you know she still didn't believe after all this. So um yeah, Dogma. I sort of feel like after this movie, I mean, I'll always be like hold Kevin Smith in a certain place in my heart, and just hold him in a certain regard because of this time period. But after this movie, it sort of gets a little worse. So Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back was, I think the first movie that I ever saw of his, watched it a lot on DVD with my friends, even not getting most of the jokes.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
I definitely saw, like I said earlier, my stepbrother had this and Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back I can't remember if it was DVD or VHS, but we watched them a lot and I saw them well before I saw Clerks or Chasing Amy or
Now, I really liked Clerks 2 at the time. I know it's not one that people think has held up, which I think is probably fair. It's definitely like the jokes maybe like I don't know, it was going for like more offensive at the time, I feel like, and now it's like, probably jokes that are like unacceptable.
yeah. I feel like some people would have that opinion about pretty much all the Jason Mewes stuff,
Probably.
at this
Yeah,
point, but
probably.
yeah,
In
it was
this
just
one
a
though, I
different
feel like
time.
in this one though, I feel like he's mostly just like a horn dog.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I mean,
It's been a
he
while
doesn't
since I've watched Clerks too, so I'm not even really sure what you're referring to, but
Yeah, there's a certain thing that I just don't think that they would do again.
okay.
But I don't know. I mean, I definitely liked Clerks 2 at the time. I feel like it doesn't hold up as much. And maybe you would say none of this stuff does, but I was like I mean, I was watching this and I chuckled like quite a few times.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of stuff like you said with Loki and Bartleby that's like not that crass, but it is really funny still. Like Kevin
Yeah,
Smith's able to be funny and not Jason Mewes dialogue. Like
definitely.
it's
Definitely.
not required for
Yeah.
his writing to
Yeah.
be, good.
So I do still like Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back and Clerks 2. Like I do like both of them, but I just feel like it's a more diminished phase than these first four.
Yeah. I watched Reboot when it came out and did not like it.
I think Reboot sucks, and
Yeah.
I
And I
didn't love
haven't
Clerks
even
3.
given Clerks 3 a shot yet, so
Yeah. I thought Clerks was okay. It's definitely better than I mean Reboot I thought was like terrible.
yeah. That felt like the Marvel like cameoification
Yeah.
of the Viewisk universe. Like I just remember seeing all these people pop back up and it was like just lifeless kind of. I don't know.
What do you think about his other like non View Askew universe stuff?
I mean the first one that comes to mind is Tusk and I liked it, but it's
Yeah.
not like my favorite. And then there was that one Red State, right?
Yeah. I feel like
That one just I remember watching that and being like, Kevin Smith made this? Like,
yeah.
it just seems totally out of his wheelhouse. It was like almost depressingly like dark
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah, it's definitely like it's like a horror movie that is very bleak, but I'm also not quite sure that the execution was 100% there with it. I do think Red State is like okay.
Isn't the
Tusk,
premise of that one like a couple of kids that are kind of like Jason Mewes are horny and they're going to like try to
yeah.
sleep with an older woman or something and they get captured by this cult or
Yes.
something? Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Which I actually think like the beginning of it is like pretty solid. And I just feel like it kind of peters out and it never
Yeah.
really all comes together all that great. But I think it's better than Tusk, which I liked the idea of Tusk. Like I was kind of excited to see Tusk, but I didn't think it was very strong.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, my favorite of his movies will always, like you said, be like his first four or
Yeah.
five, maybe even six movies.
And
Um,
then I don't know if you've ever seen this, but Yoga Hosers was like one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
I started watching that and
Yeah.
turned it off.
Yeah. So it's been a weird ride with him, but you know, I'll always be loyal. And I listened to his podcast for a long time and had like some really hard laughs during like when he used to do Smodcast with Kevin or with Scott Mosier, just like hard belly laughs that I mean, really like some of the funniest stuff I've heard like conversationally, but that even that stuff was like 15 years ago at this point. So it's been a
Yeah.
while, but yeah, yeah. I mean, it's these first four for me though. That's the real sweet spot.
Yeah. I'll always have like a soft spot and a lot of nostalgia for like, especially Clerks and Chasing Amy for some reason. Those movies are like kind of melodramatic in a way, even though they're like pretty funny.
Yeah,
Um, but it definitely Clerks definitely gets sappy at the end for sure, and I don't know,
Yeah,
something about the representation of just like these like normal losers who just work at, a video store and a
yeah,
gas station. Like at the, there was a period of time when like I was could really relate to that, I guess, even though not in the 90s obviously, but like that period in between college and getting a real job was kind of
definitely.
like that for me, and I feel like me and Dustin and Reiner were like rewatching those movies a lot at that time, like when
And
we
like
all lived
living,
together.
yeah, you guys were like living those lives.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like I was a clerk at like Walgreens, and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and yeah, you hit on it. I mean, there is that era where you're like, you're not a kid anymore, but you're not really an adult either, and you're kind of like living in this in between. And that period of time can be like it can be different lengths of time for different types of people. And his movies were about people that were like living in that time for like an
Yeah,
elongated
yeah.
stretch. And I don't
You
think that
just explained it
that's.
better, but yeah,
Oh, I just
that's what
don't
I
think that's.
was getting at.
I don't think that's necessarily like a bad thing. I mean, I think everybody can take life at their own pace, and I think that's totally fine. I mean, maybe there's been like social stigmas about it at different times, but ultimately, it's just like I just think it's okay to live life at your own pace, and I think that
Yeah.
the
When I
characters,
said losers, I didn't mean that like if you're like in your 30s and you work a clerk job, you're a loser. That's not what I was saying. I'm just saying I connect with those movies a lot, and I feel very nostalgic because me and my friends were like going through that period and watching those movies a lot at that time period of my life, and
yeah,
it was awesome. Like I don't know, it's like made you feel like I don't even know what I'm going at where I'm trying to go with this, but
I get
I
it.
I'm nostalgic for those movies and that time period of my life for sure.
Absolutely, I'm totally with you. All right, we should probably get out on Dogma.
All right, let's go. All right, it's time to talk about our homework. And last episode, one of the movies we talked about was Peeping Tom. So, and I asked if you had seen The Red Shoes, which is by the same director, um, Michael Powell.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, it's
Powell
like
and
two
Pressburger.
guys, isn't it?
Yeah, they get mentioned like when people talk about them, they talk about Powell and Pressburger. I think they were a duo and um, worked together a lot. But
Gotcha.
I had only seen this once before, but I really liked it, and I
Yeah.
know it's like a huge. Scorsese talks about it a lot as being one of his favorite movies. So I wanted to hear your thoughts because I thought it kind of fits like your vibe.
Yeah, I mean, and maybe the biggest surprise in Return to Videotech history, you assigned me this movie.
Yeah,
Like,
I was trying to hit you with one that I figured you would like.
well, I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm like, I will tell you, like the first 20 minutes or so, I'm like, several things are going through my mind. One, I can't believe Keith assigned me this. Two, I'm like, what? I mean, is this like a ballet musical? Like, and it is, but it's super. It is super well done. It's 1948. I was surprised how good this looks.
hmm
I mean, I
Yeah,
thought
it's
that,
got that like Technicolor look to it. I don't know if it
yeah.
actually was shot in Technicolor or whatever that is, but
I don't know. Is that a Blu-ray that you have? Like, they didn't
I
do this.
have the four. I actually bought the
Oh,
4K.
okay. It is 4K. That makes sense because I watched it on HBO Max and I'm like, this looks like a 4K scan. Like,
Yeah,
this looks like, I mean, it just looks like a 4K scan. I'm like, this has to be a 4K. And but I didn't think that they had done a 4K. So, okay. That makes more sense. I mean, it's this sprawling sort of epic movie, really. Like they're in like multiple locations. There's a lot of like on location shooting. They're in like the French Riviera or whatever. I think they're in London and then they're like in France. And in the middle of the movie, they just do like the Red Shoes is the name of this ballet performance or whatever. And they just like do the whole thing in the middle of the movie.
yeah.
Like,
That's like my favorite part about the movie too. Is like, cause like you said, I'm not the kind of guy to like typically watch stuff like this, but I was like sucked into that ballet performance. I thought it was awesome. It gets all weird and trippy, and there's some like cool special effects going on, and the
I
sets are really
know.
cool. Like,
Yeah, almost like remind you of like Michelle Gondry type stuff. You
I
know
don't
what I
know who
mean?
that is, but yeah.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah. And Be Kind Rewind.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I know that.
Yeah, yeah.
Just didn't know the name.
Um, it's it was kind of reminding me of that during the play stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think you mentioned to me that you were like, it kind of reminds you of like Hitchcock stuff, which I think that's true too. Like, not, you wouldn't say like Psycho, but maybe like Vertigo,
Yeah.
like that kind of vibe. But um, yeah, a weird, distorted love story, love triangle. Even though like the one dude doesn't really have a shot, he's kind of like pursuing her the whole time. The
Yeah.
theater director guy. I wrote in my letterbox thing. I mean, just a perfect uh expression of feeling in this movie. Like when the theater guy's like bummed because she's been going with the other guy, the like more the composer, and he's the guy that the theater director guy that's like obsessed with her. There's just like a scene of him like depressed, and he just like this. It's just a close up of an ashtray with like a million cigarettes, and he had just
Like
discarded
he's
like a
just been
fresh one.
sitting there brooding for hours,
Yeah,
smoking,
and it
chain
like
smoking, thinking about her.
yeah, because the camera pans to like a telegraph that he got that she's getting married to the other guy or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like,
It's
yeah,
interesting though because you say he's obsessed with her, but he's obsessed with her in a way that like not like a sexual romantic way, I don't think. I think he's just obsessed with her in the fact that like he just wants to put on the absolute best ballets he
yeah,
can, and he sees something in her that he's like, she's special, like
yeah,
she can make my stuff better, and he doesn't want her to like quote unquote like throw her life away and throw her talent away by just going and getting married and becoming a
yeah.
housewife.
That's true, but I do think that there is like an ownership element to it for him
Yeah,
as well.
true. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I loved it. I was like, I mean, like I said, it did take me a little because I was like definitely on my heels that this was something that you recommended to me. Especially I was like, there's a lot of like just ballet and musical element to this, and I'm like, this is not really what I was expecting, especially after you described Peeping Tom. But then, yeah, I mean, by the time I finished this movie, I mean, I loved it. I think I gave it 4.5 stars like first viewing, which is
yeah.
pretty glowing for me for a first view. So, I'll probably try to pick up the Criterion at some point. Yeah, this is a movie that had escaped me for obviously my whole life until now, and I'm happy that you did recommend this one to me.
Sweet. Yeah. I mean, I just found out about it from, I don't know, I think it was some Scorsese interview or something where he was talking about how it's one of his favorite movies. And I'd heard other Criterion people be like, oh, this is like one of the top 10. Like, you got to check it out. So,
All right, very good. Well, I assigned you, speaking of Scorsese, an early Scorsese movie that, I mean, in terms of Matt coded movies, I'm sure it didn't take you long to be like, oh, yeah, no wonder he likes this. But it's definitely one of Scorsese's, like, one of those movies that you wouldn't necessarily associate with him. Like, you get used to thinking about Scorsese being a certain type of guy, and you think about Goodfellas and Mean Streets and the mob stuff, and then like there's also like Gangs of New York and The Departed, and I just feel like that's kind of how you think about Scorsese. Because even After Hours, I think After Hours I would put more in this camp where it's like
yeah, for sure.
not necessarily what you would think of
It's
when you
literally his
picture
mob
Scorsese.
stuff and then his not mob
Yeah,
stuff. There's like two buckets.
yeah.
Like, yeah,
But like with his non-mob stuff or his non-crime stuff, we'll say his
yeah.
non-crime stuff, it's like it's such a wide spectrum.
Yeah, yeah. I actually haven't seen too many of his like non-mob stuff. I have seen After Hours and I like that a lot. I almost picked up Age of Innocence
Yeah,
in this sale, which I haven't seen.
I haven't
But
seen that
I
either.
really liked this one, dude. I think in my review I just wrote on Letterboxd that it feels more like a Spielberg movie than a Scorsese movie.
Totally agree.
I say
Yeah.
that not having seen a lot of his other stuff, like I just said, but
Well, no, I think you're right, and it does. There is this sort of, I don't know, sentimental feeling to it that,
yeah. So like the
um,
gist of the story is this woman and her son um, basically go on the road after her husband dies.
yeah,
Um, y- she alludes to the fact that in the past she used to be a singer, but kind of gave that up when she got married and had a kid, I guess.
right,
So after her husband dies, she's like, "What am I gonna do for money? Maybe if I go back to where I was a singer previously, I can go back to doing that and be happy and still make money and raise this kid or whatever. But along the way, they like hit these bumps in the road, and she kind of gets involved with some other men here and there. And like, but what feels Spielbergian about it to me is like the relationship that she has with her son. It's
Yeah,
very like they're just joking around with each other, and the kid is like, I don't know, he's kind of like a little punk in a way, but
right.
like I don't know, they feel like more like Spielberg characters to me.
And I just love the vibe of the movie. They're very Americana. It's like diner. Um, there's a part I'm pretty sure she's driving. I think it's when they're driving around and the song Daniel by Elton John is playing. And like after I
Mhm.
heard it in this movie, which was a song I'd heard a bunch of times in my life, but after I heard it in this movie, it just became a song that I now play when I'm like driving around. Like just a good drive around jam. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, I'm glad you liked it because it is cool. It starts out like kind of weird too, right? Like they
Yeah.
kind of give you, I think, a little bit of insight of her career before this happens. I think there's kind of
Oh,
like a weirdness with the way that it opens before it cuts to
mm.
what her life is.
I'm
And
not really remembering that, but
okay,
yeah. I did, yeah, it just has like a kind of like a melodramatic vibe, but it's also very fun and funny. Chris Christopherson is
that's
in
right.
it.
Yeah,
Harvey Keitel is in it. I really liked Harvey Keitel in it. I don't want to spoil it for people who haven't seen it, but he starts out one way and you like I don't know, he gives a really good performance, unsurprisingly, I guess, but
yeah. It's weird with him because in the early years, he seemed like he was Scorsese's like first choice guy, and then it kind of became like De Niro.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you liked it. I do think I feel like it's an under discussed Scorsese movie.
For sure. I'd never heard anybody bring this movie up before.
Yeah. It's on my list of, like I've said before, I keep a list of movies that I still need to own, and it's on that list.
I do want to share with you before we end this a joke that Chris kind of had while we were
Please.
watching it.
Yeah.
She was like, who, like, she was trying to figure out who Chris Christopherson was. I was like, she loves Blade. So I was like, oh, it's Whistler from Blade, like a young Whistler. She's like, oh, he looks so weird young. And then later on in the movie, like maybe 30 minutes later, she's like, you kind of look like Chris Christopherson when he was younger. I was like, 30 minutes ago, you said he was weird looking. So you think
Yeah.
I'm weird looking?
Walked herself into a trap.
Yeah.
And she's like,
Anyways,
yeah, and I stand by it.
yeah. Thanks.
All right.
Um,
Well, should we wrap it here?
all right, yeah. Let's wrap it up here. Thanks everybody for watching and listening. If you are listening on Spotify or Apple, please leave us a rating and review. We could use a few more of those to
Yeah, really.
get the word out there. And likewise, if you're watching or listening on YouTube, leave us a comment, leave us a like. I don't know, do that
Please. Yeah.
nice stuff.
Engage with the show. Jeez.
Yeah, yeah. All right, that's gonna do it. Thanks everybody again for watching and listening. We'll see you in the next episode.
Return to Videotech.